Our engineering and IT wizards. Willie Donick, midday host on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and voice of the Predators, celebrates 11 years this month. And Yvette Wright in sales passes the 1-year mark. We salute them all and invite you to join the team. Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Caroline is out today. She did a fantastic job on the midday show once again today. Ian is here. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Okay, let's get to the top story today. It happened an hour ago. Mike Vrabel said that a bunch of guys are out for the game. Jeffrey Simmons is out. Amani Hooker is out. Zach Cunningham is out. Bud Dupree, once again, with that mysterious hip injury, is out. We'll get to all of that. That's not the story. That's not the big story. The story is Ryan Tannehill is questionable for Sunday's game against the Broncos. Now, Ryan Tannehill was a full participant in practice yesterday, and Ryan Tannehill was a limited participant in practice today. So, let's just recap all of this. Ryan Tannehill suffers an ankle injury against the Colts, tapes it up, goes back in the game, finishes the game. Doesn't play the next week against the Texans, but he does practice on Thursday before getting sick on Friday. Ryan Tannehill practices on Wednesday and Friday ahead of the game against the Chiefs, in which he was questionable, just like he's questionable right now. And then Ryan Tannehill went out there and didn't even really give it any effort to try to play on Sunday. Again, it was obvious he knew he wasn't going to play on Sunday. It was obvious that he knew that it wasn't going to, he didn't show up to the game wearing a suit, which he always does because he's the quarterback, and in the press conferences after the game, the quarterback always wears a suit. This quarterback does. And then he didn't even tape up the ankle. Didn't even tape it up. And he was just out there tossing the ball. I mean, if his son were to say, Dad, let's go outside and play catch, he would put more effort into what he put out there in the videos on the field at Arrowhead. So then he practices on Wednesday, and we see the videos of him out there, tape on the ankle. He's moving around. He practices full yesterday, and now he's limited today, and he's questionable for the game on Sunday. You have got to be kidding me. You know, every single person, I feel like I've heard it from everybody about after the Kansas City game. I said Steve McNair would have played. I said it before the Kansas City game. I said Steve McNair would have played, and everyone's like, well, that's not fair because that's Steve McNair. Fine. Steve McNair will play with a strained calf. Steve McNair will play with a broken sternum. Steve McNair will play with a cut-open thumb. Steve McNair will play with a fever. Steve McNair will play with a back injury. Steve McNair will play through anything. That's fine. Okay, fine, whatever. But every now and then, something happens in life where when I reflect on it, I think, boy, I never thought I'd say that, but here we are. So even if we know Steve McNair would have played through these injuries, but that's too high of a standard, let's use one of the biggest losers in the NFL, Carson Wentz. Remember last year when the Colts came here? And Carson Wentz had already broken his foot in training camp, and so he got a late start with Indianapolis, and then he found a way to start the season even though we were told that it was going to be a 5 to 12-week injury on that broken foot, and somehow Wentz found a way not to miss any games. And then Wentz is playing in the second game of the year, and he gets sacked, and his ankle gets all twisted up, kind of like Tannehill's. Don't know if it was a high ankle sprain or a low ankle sprain. In fact, I think it was reported as a high ankle sprain at the time. And there was no way Carson Wentz was going to play against the Titans. It was obvious that it was going to be Jacob Eason starting at quarterback against the Titans because Carson Wentz was hurt, and it was obvious. And then they said, well, maybe there's a little chance Carson can play. And everybody's like, he's got 2 sprained ankles, including a high ankle sprain. He can't move around in that pocket. There's no way Carson Wentz is going to play. And guess what? Carson Wentz played. Now, was Carson Wentz great? Nope. Was Carson Wentz overly effective? Nope. Some of that might be because Carson sucks. Some of that might be because of the ankle injury. But did Carson Wentz, a bona fide loser who got run out of Indianapolis because he was a bad leader, who the owner literally kicked out, said, get out of here, who nobody wants, who nobody believes in, including his own coach now, who after he threw away the game against the Titans was asked why every other team in his division, Dallas, Philadelphia, the Giants, are winning, and the coach said quarterback. And I know he walked it back, but we know the truth. So one of the biggest losers in the NFL found a way to gut it out last year with 2 sprained ankles, including a high ankle sprain against the Titans last season. And we can't ask something not even similar, 1 low ankle sprain from Ryan Tannehill. We have to sit here and, it's a game time decision. I heard Derek on the midday show, and Derek doesn't think Ryan Tannehill's going to play. What? That's okay? And this is where I am beside myself with the amount of people that are just okay with this. With the amount of people that don't look at all the other quarterbacks in the NFL that gut through injuries, sometimes injuries you don't even know about, that always answer the bell. And all of a sudden, here's Ryan Tannehill. Jim Wyatt put out a video on his Twitter. And Ryan Tannehill, and all they're allowed to shoot for practice, all the videos you're allowed to see are like the first 20 minutes of practice. And all that is, and you'll see it on the news, or you'll see it on the like a Sports Center, or if Colin Cowherd's talking about something, they'll show it in the background, and it'll be about Aaron Rodgers getting ready for the game. And all you'll see is Aaron Rodgers, leaning forward and stretching his calf muscle out. Or you'll see Tom Brady just kind of throwing a ball to a receiver. You're not actually watching practice. You're watching the first 20 minutes of warm up and then just kind of like, they call it individual period, but basically practice warm up, where it's just like, okay, running backs, we're going to pretend you're running the ball up and down these pads, hut, and then the guy just goes. But there's nothing serious that anybody's allowed to watch because the NFL's so secretive. And Jim Wyatt posts a video on Twitter, and here's Ryan Tannehill in the warm-up, and he's moving fine on both feet. And so now it's questionable for the game on Sunday after he's already missed 2 games with a low ankle sprain, which, again, we've all figured out that it's a low ankle sprain, not because anybody's told us anything, because, God forbid the Titans tell you the truth. But we figured out it's a low ankle sprain because he hasn't had any setbacks, because he was cleared at least to practice for the Texan game. He was cleared to practice for the Chiefs game. He went out on the field for the Chiefs game, and a high ankle sprain is a 4 to 6 week injury. And again, Carson Wentz, the biggest loser in the NFL, probably. Carson Wentz gutted through an ankle injury last year. Wasn't pretty, but he played. You know why he played? Because Indianapolis had started the year off 0-2, and the Titans were the reigning division champions, and Carson Wentz had the pressure of being the guy to lead Indianapolis, and he had a reputation of being a baby and of always being hurt. And so Carson Wentz decided, because even though apparently he's some horrendous leader, which I don't doubt, Carson Wentz decided, I am going to gut this out. And it looked painful last year in that Colts game watching Carson Wentz play. The Titans won the game, but they didn't win it very comfortably. And Wentz was so immobile, and the Titans' offense was so bad that day that I lost my mind the following Monday. People got mad at me because they were like, Jared, we won the game. And I was like, look, if they play this way next week, they will lose to the Jets. And then they did. I mean, at what point are we allowed to criticize Ryan Tannehill? Because I will be honest with you, I think the way that everybody else has treated this injury, I think and I mean this with all sincerity, I think there is more criticism of me for being the only person out there to have the audacity to ask, why are you still questionable 3 weeks on an ankle injury that you played on against the Colts that is pretty obviously a low ankle sprain? Unless you want to correct the record and tell us that it's worse than that? Because if it's a high ankle sprain and he cracked his femur and all kinds of, fibula and all kinds of things like that, fine, talk to me about it. But we haven't heard that. In fact, he practiced before the Texans game, which he missed 2 weeks ago. So the audacity to say, wait a minute. A low ankle sprain, and it's 3 weeks later, and you're warming up on both feet, and you look fine with a little tape on the ankle, and you're the starting quarterback, and you still might not go, and your team is going to need you because the defense that laid it all out on the line on Sunday Night Football that would have won the game if they had just had a little bit of offense, which isn't Tannehill's fault. It's not his fault the Titans didn't get a real backup quarterback. But if they had just had a little bit of offense, they would have won that game on Sunday night against the Chiefs. And now all those guys are hurt because they played 41 minutes on Sunday night. And so now 4 dudes on the defense are out. And so obviously, even though Russell Wilson sucks, you're going to have to help this team win. And there's a question about whether or not you'll play on Sunday? Seriously? And I'm not allowed to ask about that? And we're not allowed to be critical of that? And we're not allowed to say, you're good enough to practice, right? Get in the game. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It makes me feel like the bad guy for looking at, all I'm saying is Carson Wentz, 2 bad ankles, one of which was a high ankle sprain, played the following Sunday. And Ryan Tannehill is questionable 3 Sundays later. Again, I'm not saying Steve McNair would have played, like I've said all throughout the week, which is true and you all know is true. I'm saying Carson Wentz would have played. Tannehill better play on Sunday. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025 here on the program. And again, like I said, I never thought at any point, even when we were dogging Tannehill after the Bengals game, throughout the offseason about does he have it in him, and he wouldn't take blame for the loss against Cincinnati, and he didn't show up for voluntary workouts because he had home renovations, and all those things that drove us crazy. As that was going on, never, ever, ever would I have thought that we would be having a discussion where, is Ryan Tannehill as tough as Carson Wentz? Because Carson Wentz was able to gut it out, and apparently Ryan Tannehill can't. So never did I think we'd be here. A week and a half ago, I thought he was one of those dudes that just didn't miss. Like Eli Manning playing with a broken foot. Like Brett Favre. Like Phillip Rivers playing in the AFC Championship game with a torn ACL. I thought Tannehill was one of those dudes. Apparently, he's not even Carson Wentz. Questionable for the game on Sunday. Give me a break. I saw the video from Jim Wyatt. He should play. They got Derek saying, I don't think he's going to play. Give me a break. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Titans also have a much bigger problem on their hands than just Tannehill's injury. They got a bunch of injuries on their hands, and I do wonder at what point is this going to become a bigger deal than it already is. We'll get to that coming up. Stillman & Company right here, 102.5 on a Fireball Hot Take Friday, 102.5, 106 through the game.
All right, people, it is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, before we get into the fun stuff, the odds, the spreads, the picks, remember that your first bet is on Caesars up to $1,250. Just download the app and use the promo code RadioFull, one word, RadioFull, and then wager. And if you win, congratulations. Go have fun with that money. But if not, don't worry about it because you'll get that stake back as a free bet. It is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all who have served. So for the day, Caesars Sportsbook has an odds boost going on. Navy, Army, and Air Force all win today at plus 2,500 odds. Put some money on that. Open New users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Most used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, football fans. Dak Prescott here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Hey, it's Big Joe on the go. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being in a car accident, but when that happens, make it easy on yourself and call Apple Collision Centers so you don't have to stress. They're locally owned with 3 convenient locations in Oak Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Apple Collision Centers managers combined for 60-plus years experience, and they only recommend original equipment parts on your vehicle. So, if you're in need of a repair today or down the road, just head over to Apple Collision Centers. Stan and his team will take great care of you. Online, applecollisioncenters.com.
When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman & Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman & Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
How much practice time do you feel like you would need before you to be able to test it on the practice field before you feel comfortable going out there and playing in a game?
Yeah, I would need some, not a ton. It's just got to get to a point to where I can go do my job effectively and be able to run the offense, move around enough to not be a statue in the pocket and not put myself, or the ball in harm's way by not being able to move.
I got to be able to do everything right in order for me to be able to play on Sunday. How about, can you just do the job better than the other guy? Because if you can do the job better than the other guy, you need to play. And based upon what we've seen in the 2 games with the other guy, you can do the job better than the other guy, even if you're not as mobile because of the ankle injury. And again, Ryan Tannehill downgraded from a full participant in practice yesterday to a limited participant and is questionable for the game on Sunday. My goodness gracious. Carson Wentz last year. In fact, I pulled it up, when the Titans beat the Colts in week 3. And Carson Wentz, quote, this is the Indy Star. Battered, bruised, and playing behind an injured Carson Wentz. Indianapolis spent most of the day gutting it out to simply stay in the game against Tennessee. Wentz wasn't himself. Wentz fought back from 2 sprained ankles to start the game. But clearly he wasn't himself. He wasn't comfortable buying time in the pocket and clearly affected his play. Guess what? That's what injuries do, especially to average players like Carson Wentz, is it affects them. But Malik Willis is so not ready at this point to help the Titans win that the question has to be asked, would an immobile Ryan Tannehill have given the Titans a better chance on Sunday night against Kansas City? The answer, yes. Would an immobile Ryan Tannehill give the Titans a better chance to win on Sunday against the crappy Broncos? Yes. Did an immobile Ryan Tannehill, right after he suffered the ankle injury, give them a better chance to beat the Colts when he came back in the game than Malik Willis would have? Yes. And I can't believe that, I was thinking about this during the break. Because, again, I'm the only person in town, it feels like. And I haven't listened to what everybody else has said, other than I've listened to Joe criticize my take. I've listened to the midday show, not really criticize my take, but Derek thinks that he's not even going to play on Sunday. I've had Caroline tell me all week that it's not fair to say that Steve McNair would have played, which he would have, on Sunday against Kansas City. But could you imagine if this wasn't the Titans? Could you imagine if this were, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys? Don't you think everybody would be talking every week about Dak can't play on the ankle? What does that mean? And you'd have Skip Bayless screaming about it and Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith, and it would be the number one discussion of the news cycle. And here's Tannehill, again, the video with Jim Wyatt. It's the shuffle crossover warming up. There's Tannehill. He's doing it on both ankles. He's fine. And yet people around here are like, he might not play on Sunday. What? And even that cut right there of Tannehill, I have to be able to run the offense effectively. I have to be able to do my job effectively. I have to be able to feel comfortable to protect myself effectively. You think Brett Favre felt that way in the 297 games he started in a row? I'm going to guess not, but he still played. You think that Tom Brady, when he cut open his thumb the week of the AFC Championship game and had to have hand surgery and didn't know if he was going to play on Saturday and found a way to play in the AFC title game against Jacksonville? You think Tom Brady felt he could play quarterback the same way that Tom Brady had been playing quarterback? No. Bud Grant, the legendary Vikings coach, used to say, and I know this because it was passed down to me, Bud Grant used to always say that the great players can play great when they're injured. I'm not asking Tannehill to play great. I'm asking Tannehill to play. I'm asking for Tannehill to be available. The fact that Jeffrey Simmons had a similar ankle injury and that Jeffrey Simmons was able to go in the last 2 games and played great in those 2 games tells you what Jeffrey Simmons is. Tannehill, questionable on Sunday. Unbelievable. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Start off on your text messages. Ryan in Nashville says, Tannehill must play on Sunday. This is an AFC game. Cannot let a losing streak develop. The Titans need his arm, even though the Titans will attack the poor Denver run defense with Derrick Henry. Look, the idea that the Titans are going to go and play somebody and run the ball 30 times like they did against the Texans. I just don't think it's feasible enough in an NFL game. And I know Russell Wilson stinks, and the Broncos might have one of the worst coaches in the NFL. And really the idea of losing to the Broncos when we have seen them in all of these Monday night football games and Thursday night games and Sunday night games, and we've seen how even in the games that they've won, they look so truly miserable. The idea of losing to them is so depressing because they're so bad. I mean, they lost to the friggin' Colts. Like, they stink. And yet, I don't think the Titans can just hand the ball off 30 times right up the middle to Derrick Henry like they did against the Texans. Then again, I didn't think they could do that against the Texans. And obviously, they couldn't do that against the Chiefs. Now, the Broncos are not the Chiefs. You get an 8-point lead with 8 minutes to go or whatever it is with Russell Wilson quarterbacking the way he's playing right now. I feel pretty confident that the Titans defense will be able to win the game. But they have all those injuries now on defense. Jeffrey Simmons is out. Bud Dupree is out. Amani Hooker once again is out. And I think that might be a bad injury for Hooker because it was a shoulder injury against the Texans, and he came right out, and he hasn't practiced since, and immediately it was like out for the game, out for the game. Even Vrabel, who never says anything about anything, when he was asked about Amani Hooker last week, was like, yeah, I don't think Amani's going to play. So that, the defense is not going to be as stout as it has been because of all the guys that are hurt, which means that unlike the last 2 weeks, the offense is actually going to have to do something outside of Derrick Henry. The offense is going to have to do its part, and it can't do its part with Malik at quarterback, especially against the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL, which is what the Broncos are. The number 2 ranked defense. Texter to the text line says, the Titans don't owe you any explanation. Sorry, in reference to the Tannehill thing. Fine. If they don't owe me an explanation, and they don't owe you an explanation, and they don't owe any of us an explanation, which I think Vrabel would agree with, that they don't owe us an explanation. Fine, I'm not angry about that. I'm not upset about it. But if they don't owe you an explanation, then they shouldn't get mad at you or me when we say things like Steve McNair would have played, Brett Favre would have played, Phillip Rivers would have played, Eli Manning would have played, Peyton Manning would have played, Tom Brady would have played, Carson Wentz would have played. Don't get mad about that now. Don't get mad about that. Oh, Tannehill's so tough, Jared. You don't understand. You're right. I don't understand. But part of the reason why I don't understand is because nobody says anything. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm trying in life. And I actually told somebody this today. I'm trying in life to be more empathetic. And I am trying to be more sympathetic. But if you're going to keep an ankle injury as a top-level secret, like a nuclear code, and I'm going to have to dig through every press conference and watch every angle of every video just to try to figure out when you'll be out there to help the team win, then I'm not sure you get any sympathy from me when all the signs point in the direction of a low ankle sprain, which does not have a high risk of re-injury, in which you could play through. It's just a pain tolerance thing. And if you don't want to talk about the pain tolerance and you don't want to talk about the things that you can't do because of the pain, that's fine. But I am not going to make any assumptions as to what that's going to be. So you're right. The team does not owe me any sort of explanation. They don't. But I don't owe them any benefit of the doubt. I don't owe Tannehill any benefit of the doubt. That's not fair to say Steve McNair would have played. Why? Because he would have? Is it not fair to ask if Carson Wentz would have played because he did through 2 ankle sprains the next week, one of which was a high ankle sprain? Texter says, practice and the game are 2 totally different things. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, Jared. You're right, we don't. And we don't know what happened behind the scenes in the 297 or whatever it was games in a row that Brett Favre started. But what we do know is that Brett Favre got so addicted to painkillers that he had to go to rehab in the offseason because he was finding ways to play. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Tannehill should, pop himself full of these opioids, because those are some bad things. And, find a way to pump it full and go out there and play. But I am saying that these other quarterbacks, they find a way. And you're right, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But it can't be one guy says, they don't owe you an explanation, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Then I guess we just owe everybody the benefit of the doubt about everything. And every time that they tell us, don't worry about it, then we should just not be critical and not worry about it. Or we can look at it realistically and once again say, well, Carson Wentz would have played. 615-737-1025. We'll get back into your phones on this. But the Titans got a lot of injuries. And people are getting mad. And maybe people should get mad. And I do wonder, Mike Vrabel, who is a great coach, and I thought his ability to coach this team was on full display on Sunday night. But maybe Mike Vrabel needs to be more critical of his own process. We'll get to that coming up. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to weigh in, Stillman and Company, Fireball Hot Take Friday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Saturday night.
3-on-2, and the shot's up with the rebound, the score.
Your Nashville Predators return home to Bridgestone Arena for a bout with the New York Rangers. Pre-game at 6. Face-off at 7 on your home for Nashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Huge discounts up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Slate full tables from Brunswick and Legacy full tables. Prices starting as low as $14.99 installed.
Perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure has huge savings on massage chairs. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. 4D massage chair more than half off at $29.99.
Family Leisure guarantees to beat anyone's advertised home theater seating prices. Shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have. Credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Joe Rexrod here for FanDuel Sportsbook, inviting you to download FanDuel, which is, of course, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That means free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you got to do is sign up with promo code Joe102. This app is safe, secure, super easy to use, which is a big deal for me. You've got live betting that updates during games. You have you get paid fast. You also have a lot of things you can do, money line, point spreads, player props, and you can combine them for a same-game parlay. If I were doing that for Titans-Broncos, I would be big on the under in this game. I'm all over the under. Titans, too, and I'd go anytime touchdown for Derrick Henry in this game. Do whatever you want. Just sign up with promo code Joe102 again for that no-sweat first bet. Promo code Joe102. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. For a sideline real money wager only. Refund issued is now withdrawable free bets. Expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 800-889-9789.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
I mean, it's an ankle sprain. I think it's there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's just getting all of a sudden worse, but I think it's just one of the things where I just have to get it healthier, especially with it being a long season. I wanted to feel better for sure, so, I mean, that's why I said just take it day by day for sure.
There you go, Jeffrey Simmons with his ankle sprain in a boot this week, out Sunday against the Broncos, as is Zach Cunningham with that elbow injury once again. I don't even know what the hell that is. Honestly, I don't even care. Zach Cunningham is an average player, and they've got plenty of people to come in and play that spot. Not worried about that. Amani Hooker with the shoulder injury. Again, I think that might be a bad injury. Bud Dupree with that on and off hip. I mean, it's like a bad relationship. It's like Bud plays for a game, then he's out for 3 games, then he plays for 2 games, then he's out for 4 games, then he plays and Bud's hip's hurt again. And they probably win if Bud's hip doesn't get hurt on Sunday night, but, you know, make of that what you will. Titans are pretty much powerless as far as that's concerned. But I was listening to the midday show, Caroline and D-Mace, and they were talking about all the injuries the Titans had. Now, last year, it was like a badge of honor that the Titans played 91 guys, the most in the history of the NFL outside of a strike year. Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year, that they found a way with all these injuries to be able to win. And yet, here we are a year later, and I think everybody is starting to wonder, and I heard the midday show wondering this, is there a way to keep your team from having all these injuries? Traylon Burks is hurt. The quarterback is hurt. The entire defense, for the most part, is hurt. The offensive line, Ben Jones didn't practice today. Nate Davis didn't practice today. Nate Davis has missed a couple of games. They're hurt. You're like, is there a way for the training staff to keep these guys from all getting hurt? And I don't think that's a bad question to ask. Now, last year, Luke Warsham asked Mike Vrabel about the training staff because they had all the injuries last year. And Mike Vrabel answered it one time, and nobody has ever thought, since he answered it this way, to ever consider the possibility that maybe Mike Vrabel does need to look at his training staff. This was November of last year when, just like this year, the injuries kept piling up.
Banged up. A lot of fans think it's a logical connection to say, well, this must mean the strength and conditioning staff is not doing their jobs. I was wondering if you could speak to that and to your view of your strength and conditioning.
Yeah, that's great. I have the utmost confidence in Frank and Brian Bell and Mondre. So, and you know, our training staff, Todd, like I do. I think, and I appreciate that question, Luke. I've never suffered an injury, and again, I don't like to refer back to when I was playing, but I will in this instance. I never suffered an injury and said, "Damn strength coach," you know. I never said that. I never said that trainer sucks, and I know that that's not the case. You know, some of these things are unfortunate. You know, some of these injuries are just kind of part of football.
I never said that trainer sucks. So because I didn't do that when I was on the Patriots, now that I'm the head coach, I don't need to look into whether or not my training staff sucks. By the way, one of the guys he mentioned that I have the utmost confidence in November of last year, he fired in January of this year. So I guess he didn't really have the utmost confidence in that guy, whom he let go. But the training staff, it's like it gets asked one time, the Titans have all these injuries, and it's Mike, the fans are worried about the training staff. Yeah, thanks for that question. I appreciate that. I never thought the trainer sucked when I played. By the way, you know who played on Mike Vrabel's team? Tom Brady. You know who doesn't like the training staff in New England and got his own guru snake oil doctor? Tom Brady. You know who else played with Mike Vrabel at linebacker? Willie McGinnis. You know who introduced Tom Brady to his snake oil miracle doctor? Willie McGinnis. So I guess you were the only guy at the Patriots that wasn't feeling that way. And the thing that really sets me off, not so much about the training staff itself, because I don't know those guys and they might be good. And, you know, I say this, John Takahashi is the nicest and greatest guy ever, so I didn't get a whole anything against him. But the thing that bothers me about, like, this idea of, oh, it can't be the training staff. Ha, 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 fans. It can't be the training staff. What injuries has A.J. Brown had this year? Has anybody else noticed that? Has anybody else noticed that for 3 years, every week, it was, oh, something's wrong with A.J. It's his knee. It's his hip. It's his chest. It's his shoulder. It's his pinky finger. Every freaking time there was something wrong with A.J. Brown. Every single time. Then A.J. Brown gets the money. And normally when guys get the money, that's when they get more hurt. Because it's like, well, you know, this guy, he got his money, and now that he got his money, that shoulder injury that he was pushing through when he was trying to get his money, he doesn't push himself as hard through. Doesn't want to. I got a buddy that plays Major League Baseball. He's a pitcher. He says that he's been with dudes that their shoulders and arms are about to fall apart, and they're like, if I can just get that contract, sign that 4-year, 3-year deal, $13 million a crack, then the thing's going to pop. But guess what? I will have gotten my money. AJ gets his money, and now all of a sudden, AJ's never hurt. How can that be? How can that be that A.J. Brown is never hurt? According to DraftSharks.com, whatever the hell that is, in which has A.J. Brown's detailed injury history, A.J. Brown has a 50% chance of injury, and over the course of his career, A.J. was injured in September of 2020, August of 21, September of 21, November of 21, November of 21, December of 21. A.J. was hurt all the time here. He had both knees scoped, or whatever surgery he had on both knees after the 2020 season, I believe. And yet A.J. goes to Philadelphia. He's got no injuries. Everybody here's hurt every week. And Mike Vrabel asked about it last year. I never thought that an injury was because the trainer sucked. Well, maybe it's different when you're the coach and the feelings of the trainer, instead of trainer knows all, should be, is something up with these trainers? And that's, again, I don't know the answer to that, because I will tell you that there is almost nothing in my background, nothing that would allow me to be able to judge whether or not a trainer is good at their job. I have no training in that. I have no idea what's good. I have no idea what's bad. I don't know. And I know Vrabel's the same way. Vrabel does not have a PhD. Although maybe I should look this up. Maybe I'm assuming here. Vrabel does not have a PhD in sports medicine, if I had to take a guess. But maybe Vrabel does need to look at his training staff. Because it's like every year. It was one thing last year when it was a badge of honor of, all these guys are hurt and the Titans have found a way. Now it's another thing when it's 2 years in a row. And A.J. Brown, the guy who was chronically hurt, is never injured apparently in Philadelphia. And the guy you drafted to replace A.J. Brown has been hurt. Maybe we should take a little bit of a look in the mirror. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. Plus, there is an injury for the Titans that I don't even know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they can do. In fact, I'm not even sure if there is anything they can do. We'll get to that coming up. Hey, catch the Eddie George Show featuring Jonathan Hutton on 102.5, 106.3 The Game on Monday at 6 o'clock. Live from 6th and Peabody, the Eddie George Show is brought to you by Low T Centers and Zander Insurance. Zander Insurance gives you more options, and more options means more savings for you. Free quote at ZanderInsurance.com.
All right, people, it is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, before we get into the odds, the spreads, remember, your first bet is on Caesars, up to $1,250. Just download the app and use the promo code RADIOFULL, one word, and then wager. And if you win, then congratulations. Have fun with that money somewhere. But if not, you'll get that stake back as a free bet. Looking at the Titans game this weekend. Jeffrey Simmons out, Bud Dupree out, Tannehill questionable. So I'm going to take the Denver Broncos +3 since the Titans are dealing with so many injuries. Open to New Year's in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. After a rainy start to the day, a few more showers continue to linger into this afternoon. No Code Red weather in terms of severe weather, but an inconvenience throughout the rest of your Friday, and cooler temperatures move in for the upcoming weekend.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 18th, 19th, and 20th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collection all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is also included. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. Genesis Diamonds. November 18th through 20th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Well, I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified.
Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done his share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics.
I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call.
Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief, using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
We take the fluid out of you, we concentrate it, and putting it in an area where they couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing.
Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments.
What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself?
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year,
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
What's it mean to have Bud back on the defense?
Well, it gives us some size and some speed, and we'll see how he played and take a look at it. But those are our expectations. For those players that are at a certain level, at a compensation level, like that's how this business works. Players you pay a lot to, they got to perform. Should come as no secret in the salary cap.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel after Bud Dupree made his return from the hip injury against the Colts and caused 2 Matt Ryan interceptions, including a pick six, that essentially got Matt Ryan fired. And there was Mike Vrabel right there saying, those are our expectations for these guys. When we pay these guys all this money, Bud, when we pay these guys all this money, But those are our expectations. And Bud Dupree played great in the Colts game. Then Bud Dupree played okay in the Texan game. Then Bud Dupree played great in the Chiefs game until he got hurt. And when they went down to the sidelines and Mike Tirico sent it down to Melissa Stark and they showed Bud Dupree on the TV with the Gatorade towel around his neck and Melissa Stark told us that Bud Dupree was questionable with a hip injury, we knew what that meant. We knew Bud Dupree's hip was hurt again and Bud Dupree was out. And we know that Bud Dupree is going to be out for who knows how long, couple weeks probably, because that's what's been happening all season long. Bud Dupree played the first game against the Giants, played the first series against Buffalo, played great, then he had a hip injury. Then he was gone. He missed a couple games, then he comes back, plays great. Then he's out for a couple games, got hip injury, then he comes back, then he's great. He's out for a couple games, hip injury, and that's where they are now. Mike Vrabel said that he's out for the game today. Or excuse me, Sunday against the Broncos. I don't know what the Titans are supposed to do. Bud Dupree is what A.J. Brown was until A.J. Brown went to Philadelphia and apparently never gets hurt anymore. Bud Dupree is what A.J. Brown was for this team on defense. He's not the best player on the defense, and A.J., as good as he was not the best player on the offense. Derrick Henry was. But Bud Dupree might be the single most important player on the defense. Just like A.J. Brown last year was the single most important player on the offense. They went to the Jets last year, the horrendous Jets. Not these Jets this year that are actually okay, but the horrendous Jets last year. Derrick Henry ran for 150 yards, and they still lost the game because A.J. Brown didn't play. When A.J. Brown got hurt, the offense became completely weak and feeble. By the way, A.J. Brown hasn't been here this year. Don't know if you guys have seen that. But the offense, even with Derrick Henry leading the NFL once again in rushing, is dead last in the league. Because they need A.J. Brown. That's what the Titans' defense is with Bud Dupree. The Titans' defense, until Bud Dupree came back before the Colts game, and I know that for the most part, the quarterbacks that they had been playing until last week were all a bunch of bums. But they were 28th in the NFL in defense. 2 weeks. 2. With Bud Dupree against Indianapolis and Houston, and they're at 14th. And that defense was downright dominant on Sunday Night Football when Bud Dupree was in the lineup. What happens when Bud Dupree goes out of the game? 3rd and 17, Patrick Mahomes. Rashad Weaver crashes in. Now, he told TD it wasn't his fault. But Rashad Weaver, who's in the game, even though he's, I think, an undisciplined player for what the Titans like to do, I think he's a pass rush guy, although 3rd and 17 is an absolute pass rush down. Rashad Weaver crashes in. Patrick Mahomes runs out, and he picks up 20 yards on the run. And I don't think that play happens if Bud Dupree's in there. Last year, the Titans' defense was the same way. They spooked Matthew Stafford into 2 near goal line interceptions, one of which was returned for a pick 6, and they dominated the Rams. The next week, Bud Dupree injures a core muscle, and Trevor Siemian, who couldn't even beat out Logan Woodside, throws for 350 yards or whatever it was. The Titans' defense, without Bud Dupree, over the last 2 years, the sample size is large enough. With Bud Dupree, they are dominant. They are 9 sacks in a playoff game with Bud Dupree. Without Bud Dupree, they're average. So I don't know what the Titans are going to do. Most people will say, well, you know what? Cut Bud Dupree at the end of the year. He's not consistent enough for the $19 million he makes. And who are you going to go get that's going to have that defense as dominant as it is when Bud Dupree plays? I mean, the guy's never healthy consistently. And even last year, his first year, he was coming off the torn ACL, but he was still never really truly healthy. And in comes Bud Dupree, and you get 9 sacks in a playoff game. There's not another player out there that can do that for you. Last year, when they made the AJ trade at the draft, we thought, you know what? A.J. Brown misses so many games, this is probably better off for them because they'll get a healthier version of A.J., and right now I would take A.J. in half the games. If you promised me that A.J. would be in for the playoffs, in which I don't believe A.J.'s ever missed a playoff game. In fact, I think he dominated the Ravens game 2 years ago. He dominated the Bengals game last year. I would kill to have A.J. Brown right now. If you told me that they were going into the playoffs and they had A.J. Brown, I would be very, very, very happy. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. By the way, let me tell everybody, tune into the game of the week on 94.9 The Fan. This week's game is the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers at 3:25. The NFL game of the week is brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and Superbook Sports. Voted the number one sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. By the way, I think if you're a Titans fan, you should root like crazy for Green Bay to beat Dallas, because I don't know how many games in a row Green Bay's lost, and they suck. But I can't see Green Bay losing like 7 games in a row. And so if they beat Dallas, then maybe they'll be feeling themselves for Thursday Night Football against the Titans. Texter into the text line says, let's get real. The only reason why the A.J. Brown deal didn't work out is because he couldn't stay on the field the last few years. They didn't want to pay him the kind of money if he was going to be hurt all the time. So the training staff could have caused the Titans to give up on A.J. Brown if you think about it. And yes, I am thinking about that. And again, Mike Vrabel can say, when I played, I never thought this trainer sucks. But you have to look at A.J. Brown and all the injuries A.J. Brown had here, and the fact that apparently A.J. Brown is never hurt in Philadelphia. And you have to ask yourself, what's going on? Texter to the text line says, as far as the Titans are concerned with the injuries, that the Titans need to figure out why they are consistently the most beat-up team every year. It is not sustainable. But then again, Corey Davis is still hurt often, and Jack Conklin too. You know, I will say this about injuries in the NFL. Sometimes injuries are going to happen, regardless of if you had the greatest medical staff in the NFL. And I'm not throwing the Titans medical staff under the bus, though I'm sure that's how this is being interpreted. I am just making the case that every year we shouldn't have to have the Titans are the most beat up and injured team discussion. And apparently we do. And eventually, once that happens a couple years in a row, it's like, well, why are you the most injured team? When one of the negatives of one of the better players in the league that you let go and could desperately use right now was that guy's never healthy, and that guy goes to Philadelphia and is healthy in every game, and your guys are still not healthy, then I think it's fair to ask. Now, the Davis and Conklin thing, I just think Davis always gets hurt. He got hurt when he was drafted. He was hurt. And so he's always been hurt. Conklin's had a rough go of it, though. Boy, I do miss Jack Conklin. Jack Conklin's a good player. Gator Tim, who is one of the biggest Bud Dupree haters ever, says, bust Dupree. Dupree was always injured for the Steelers, too. Plus, he is mostly inactive when he is in there. Huge bust to add to John Robinson's list, and your takes on him are ridiculous. I am sorry. Bud Dupree, when he goes in there, Ian, back me up on this. This is not just me. When Bud Dupree is in there and healthy, the defense is elite.
It's weird. It's because he doesn't really necessarily get tons of sack numbers.
Yep.
And you don't necessarily see him like shooting off the ball like super explosively, you know, super quick. And you're like, man, that was a great bend. But he does, between the stunts and the run game, it feels like everybody's kind of more in their position, in their right spot.
I can't tell you what it is, but I think the sample size is large enough now to say when Bud Dupree's in there, everybody plays better. And when Bud Dupree doesn't, Trevor Siemian throws for 350 yards. And it is the definition of correlation. Like Bud Dupree's out, quarterback Mac Jones throws for 300 yards against the Titans. Bud Dupree's in, Matthew Stafford looks like a scared bum.
And it seemed like he was important to Pittsburgh in Watt's production.
So in Pittsburgh, I believe they started the 2020 season off, and this was Bud Dupree's year on the franchise tag there. They started the 2020 season off 12-0. And in the 13th game, Bud Dupree tore his ACL. And I want to say they finished the year 1-4. and I think they lost their one playoff game. So you tell me if Bud Dupree was important to them. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. Apparently, word on the street is not very happy with me and what I said about Ryan Tannehill. But I'm not the one who's hearing what they're saying on the street. We'll get to that coming up next, right here on Stillman and Company. Hey, play Silly Underdog Picks today. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win for a chance to win great prizes. Play now at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown! Middle Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air. Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This week in Vanderbilt history, November 9th, 2013. History in the swamp for the Commodores as Vanderbilt defeats Florida 34-17. The first win in Gainesville since 1945. The Commodores opened up a 17-0 lead in the first half thanks to a Kerry Spear field goal and touchdown runs by Jerron Seymour and Patton Robinette. Vandy scored 3 times after interceptions, including a 2-yard TD by Seymour to make it 24-3 in the third quarter. And the Doors put the game away in the fourth on Seymour's third score of the day as he carried 24 times for 62 yards. The Vandy defense was terrific, forcing 4 turnovers and racking up 5 sacks for 59 yards. Defensive back Andre Howell said the summer workouts were paying off. The victory was the first in 23 tries against the Gators dating back to 1988, and it was also the first time in school history to defeat both Florida and Georgia in the same season. Commodores 34, Florida 17 in 2013. This week in Vanderbilt history, I'm Kevin Ingram.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knesvik here for Superbook Sports. And when it comes to sports, listen, everything is happening right now. Football, basketball, hockey, a little postseason baseball, and soon enough, the World Cup. And there's no better place to wager on all of it than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager all in the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. Yes, I said it, $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it is time to get busy winning some money. So download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Middle Tennessee football is back in action at home on Saturday, November 12th. The Blue Raiders will take on Charlotte in our 40th annual Salute to Veterans and Armed Forces football game. Kickoff is set for 2:30 p.m. inside Floyd Stadium. Come early and join in on the festivities honoring our veterans. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit goblueraiders.com/tickets. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue Knighted.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Caroline out today. She did a fantastic job hosting the midday show. So I was stunned to hear this. Now, again, the big news today, Ryan Tannehill questionable for the game against Denver on Sunday with the ankle injury. Jim Wyatt posted a video of Ryan Tannehill in warm-ups today. Ryan Tannehill better play. Of what I saw with the 2 ankles and the 2 feet and the running around, and yes, it was taped. And guess what? Mike Vrabel is famous for saying that the injury rate of the NFL is 100%. So it may be something you got to deal with. But Ryan Tannehill better play on Sunday. So I have been probably, I can't speak for everybody out there, but I feel like I've been the most outspoken person in town on Ryan Tannehill's ankle injury and the fact that he didn't play on Sunday against the Chiefs. Ian, would you say that that is a fair assessment?
I think so.
And on top of it, because the Titans don't feel the need to share anything about anything, we have done as much research as possible, whether it is talking with doctors that are in sports medicine, whether it is analyzing the tape of the injury, whether it is looking at the videos on Sunday night at Kansas City as if it were the Zapruder tape and we were NBC News, whatever it may be, we've done it, parsing the words between what Tannehill has said, what Vrabel has said, what might be true, what might not be true. We've really done it all. And I feel like we put a lot of time and energy into that, and we should, because if he had played Sunday night, the Titans would have won, and the Titans would have the inside track at the number 2 seed in the AFC, which means that in a divisional round game, the Titans would be playing at home. And if the number 1 seed gets knocked off, just like they did in the divisional round in both the AFC and the NFC last year, then they would be playing the AFC championship game at home. Those are pretty important things. It was a very important game on Sunday. Now, what I was stunned by was apparently word on the street, and the street's not talking to me about this, but word on the street is that we were being inaccurate, Ian? Is that what the word on the street is telling you?
That's the word I've heard around the streets.
Okay, what is the word that you've heard on the street?
The word I've heard is, how do we know for sure that Tannehill was cleared to actually play in the game?
And how strong do you think this word on the street is?
I mean, I think it's kind of strong.
Okay. Because I did say that Tannehill was cleared by the medical staff.
Yeah, the word on the street is we don't know that for sure.
So that's the word on the street.
Yep.
Is that we don't know that Tannehill was cleared by the medical staff for the Kansas City game. So I have a couple thoughts on this. First off, even if he was medically cleared, do you think Mike Vrabel is going to go to the podium and say, yeah, he was medically cleared, but he decided that he wasn't going to risk this ankle injury today anyways? No. That's the first thing. Secondly, can a player in the NFL practice if they're not medically cleared? Because Ryan Tannehill practiced on Thursday before the Texans game. Ryan Tannehill practiced on Wednesday and Friday ahead of the Chiefs game. So with a possible 6 practices for 2 games, he practiced in 3 of the 6 practices. Jeffrey Simmons, who clearly was cleared by the medical staff because he played in both games, didn't practice at all. So if he's going to practice 50% of the time before the Kansas City game, he's got to be medically cleared, right? And on top of it, as far as the Kansas City game is concerned, he went out to warm up before the game, and then he decided not to play. Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, Jarrell Casey was questionable for a game. And everybody was keeping an eye on whether or not Jarrell Casey was going to play. It was like a big topic throughout the week. I can't remember what game it was. But I remember doing the pregame show, and I remember sitting there. and we were looking at all the videos and all the pictures that the media were taking of Casey trying to give it a go before the game, and they ended up ruling him out. And Casey is warming up, and John Robinson and Mike Vrabel are just standing there with their eyes glued on Casey. So clearly Jarrell Casey was cleared by the medical staff to play, and at that point, John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, or maybe with Jarrell Casey, made the call that Casey couldn't go. But he was cleared by the medical staff, or else they wouldn't have been trying for him to play. Tannehill wouldn't have gone out there to try to play on Sunday if he wasn't cleared by the medical staff. He wouldn't have traveled. They would have ruled him out on Saturday if he wasn't cleared by the medical staff. In fact, Ian, if you could, Vrabel, this was on Monday afternoon. Now, again, we can discuss whether or not, because the word on the street, according to Ian, and I don't even know who's telling Ian this, but the word on the street is that we are making an assumption that Ryan Tannehill was medically cleared to play. Now, I also really honestly do wonder who Ian's talking to. Who's talking to Ian? And what else does Ian know? I think he knows something. But
I don't know much.
Somebody's talking to you. So, make of that what it is. I'll have to investigate that too now, apparently. But I go back to, Vrabel on Monday. He said that it was his decision not to play Ryan Tannehill. And so, if it's Vrabel's decision to not play Ryan Tannehill, then it's safe to make the assumption that he was cleared by the medical staff, right?
I mean, if Vrabel made the decision, you think? Is that what you said?
That's what Vrabel said.
I guess so, unless they realized that he wasn't going to be able to effectively move the offense. I don't know if it was more of a performance thing or more of an injury thing at this point. I don't know.
I think it was an injury thing because, how could you be worse than Malik? But more importantly, that's what Vrabel said. Vrabel said it was his decision. Well, if it's his decision, then Tannehill was medically cleared. Ian, you need to call your people back, the street, and you need to tell them that whoever it may be, that then they've got a lot of explaining to do if they don't like what we say about medically cleared, because clearly he was cleared. If Vrabel is saying that he made the call. And some people say, well, Vrabel was just saying that. Well, what the hell else do we have to go off of? So it's a lot of people are like, well, Jared, you can't make that assumption because you don't know. Okay. Well, he said this. Well, that doesn't matter either. What? No. He was cleared to play Sunday. He just couldn't play. For whatever reason, he couldn't play. He won't tell you. And apparently we're not allowed to question why he wouldn't play, even though we all know Steve McNair would have played and that Carson Wentz played and all these other things. And now we're sitting here watching him on Jim Wyatt's Twitter with both ankles. He looks fine in the limited practice that he's allowed, fine enough to play on Sunday, and he's still questionable for the game. And we're not allowed to say, oh, well, was he cleared by the medical staff? You don't know that. The coach said he made the decision on that. So make of it what you will. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I still do wonder who Ian was talking to.
Street knowledge.
Well, now I'm wondering if I'm going to have to, like if you know things. And now I'm going to have to do to you what I do to TD sometimes, where I have to dig into
try
what
and pin
TD
me down.
knows. Yeah, because it's different when it's like, say, me and Joe arguing about stuff. Like, that's just, whatever. But there's times where TD will talk about injuries or contracts or how dudes felt about, being benched and something like that. And I know TD knows something. But, TD's not just going to come out and say it. And so I feel like sometimes we got to, prod TD a little bit. Now I feel like I'm going to have to start doing that to you. 615-737-1025. Corey Curtis knows things, by the way. He's going to join us next. His thoughts on this Tannehill thing and this just We can't criticize Tannehill for not playing on an ankle injury when everybody else seems to find a way to play. 615-737-1025. Fireball Whiskey. It's a Fireball Hot Take Friday, and everybody knows that I love Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. Why? Because it goes down so smooth, and it tastes so great. There is no better way to ignite the night and to celebrate a great weekend than to do it with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's right. I love Fireball Whiskey, and you will too. When you're out with your friends this weekend, whatever you may be doing, fall is here. It means it's time to heat it up with Fireball. That's Fireball Whiskey. Ignite the night. Please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
2, 3, 4, look. High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra, results vary.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming November 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 25, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing's held back for this once-a-year 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. It's the final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond, November 18th through 20th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Rock and country music's hardest hitters join forces. Five Finger Death Punch. Brantley Gilbert. With special guest Corey Marks. This Wednesday, Bridgestone Arena.
I'm a son of the dirty South.
On sale now at LiveNation.com. Five Finger Death Punch's new album, Afterlife, out now. Five Finger Death Punch and Brantley Gilbert, live.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company here on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Let me tell everybody to play silly underdog picks today. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win this week for a chance to win great prizes. Play now at theGameNashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports. Voted the number one sportsbook app in Vegas. Download their app today. And tune into the college football game of the week tomorrow, MTSU in Charlotte on 102.5 The Game at 2:30. The college football game of the week brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports. And, again, Superbook Sports. Voted the number one sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. So, as we're talking about word on the street, and Ian saying that word on the street was that Tannehill was not medically, well, that wasn't word on the street. Word on the street was what specifically again, Ian?
How do we know that he was cleared to play?
Okay, TD chimes in and says big difference between medically cleared to practice and cleared to play. Also, what we're missing is that Tannehill and Todd Torricelli talked before he walked to the tunnel with Vrabel, and the trainers test players for injury pre-games before clearing them often frequently. So that throws another wrench into it. The trials and tribulations of what actually happened to Ryan Tannehill. Corey Curtis, News 2, joins us now on the program. Corey, what do we make of this Tannehill thing? I'm starting to get fed up with it. He was limited today in practice. He's questionable for the game. I've been saying all week Steve McNair would have played. People get mad at me. I note that Carson Wentz played with 2 sprained ankles last year and a high ankle sprain, and I'm sitting here wondering why Ryan Tannehill couldn't play on Sunday, but now thinking Ryan Tannehill might not play this Sunday. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, look, he doesn't play until he plays. Now, I thought yesterday was a huge step forward because when you say he was a full participant, you're saying injury did not hold him back from doing anything in practice. Mm-hmm. So that's a big step forward. When he talked the other day, he said he needs to be able to move and, I guess, protect himself and not be a statue. But then, when Vrabel talked, Vrabel basically made it sound like, it was all his decision that, he didn't think that Ryan checked all the boxes that he needed to check. Look, I don't know. I don't know. Do I think that Steve McNair would have played? Yeah, I do. But you know what? That's really neither here nor there. It doesn't make him right or wrong. It really doesn't. I mean, Brett Favre threw like 4 touchdowns against the Bears with a broken thumb. How did he get there? I don't know, but he did it. Everybody's different. And the other thing I know about Mike Vrabel is he would much rather have players available in January than he would in October and November. And so I think that's another important consideration here, especially when you consider where the Titans are in the division and what the rest of the division looks like.
Does your opinion of Tannehill change at all by not being able to play Sunday and the way this is drug out?
No. I mean, look, it's still, my opinion of him is I think he wants to play, but I think he's got to be right to play. If I told you I knew Ryan Tannehill inside and out, I'd be lying. I don't. All I needed to see from Ryan Tannehill is him play well in January. That's what I need to see from him.
Do you think if last Sunday was, going back to the Chiefs game, do you think if last Sunday was an AFC divisional playoff game that he would have played?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I do. I just do. I mean, he didn't move much before the game, but when it's win or go home, that's a lot different than we've got 9 more games to play.
Mm-hmm. Corey Curtis is our guest, News 2, here on the program. What do you make of the Titans' chances against the Broncos with all these guys out? Simmons out, Dupree's out, Hooker's out, Cunningham's out, Tannehill's questionable. Word on the street, and I only say word on the street because I think whoever it is that probably has this info would not, I don't know if they want me attributing their name to it or not, but word on the street is Treylon Burks is coming back on Sunday. What do you make of the injury situation against what is maybe one of the most unimpressive teams this season in Denver?
Yeah, look, they're still an NFL team, as we've seen over and over again. I mean, Carolina Panthers have been awful all year, and they dominate last night. And I know that's against the Falcons, but they blew the doors off of the Bucs, and they got the doors blown off them by the Bengals. And we can shoot down the list of the teams that aren't supposed to be good that go on and win games. The Broncos haven't been good, but they've won 3 games somehow. They can play defense, and look, defensively, you're missing your best player. You're missing your wrecking ball in the middle. You're missing the guy that we always say, you and I are in agreement on this, the guy that takes you from good to great defensively is not playing. Mm-hmm. So you're depending on a lot of guys who are role players to be more than role players. They're going to have to be starters. They're going to have to get it done. And so it's going to be a big, big challenge. And I think this is a week where the offense has to help the defense. They have to be able to grind out drives. They have to be able to stay on the field, and they have to be able to put pressure on the Broncos offense because, like, you just, I mean, how much does Harold Landry make a year? $16 million?
Yep.
How much does Bud Dupree make a year? $16 million?
18 million or something like that.
How much is Jeff Simmons worth? $30 million a year? I mean,
somewhere in that ballpark.
You're talking about $60+ million in front four players that aren't going to be playing in this football game. That you just don't replace that. I mean, it's next man up, but there's no next man up for Jeffrey Simmons. There isn't a Jeffrey Simmons tree out there for Mike Vrabel to go and pluck the next one from. There may be some guys laying around on the ground that fell off the tree, but there's none of them up there on the tree that are ripe and ready to go.
So the one thing I would say about that, Corey, though, is that if there's any, and I agree with you that Simmons is the best. And
yeah, I would agree.
I thought that was on full display on Sunday. Not just, the usual suspects, Simmons and Autry and Bud Dupree, but Mario Edwards Jr. and DeMarcus Walker and Kevin Strong, who's going to come back. Like, those are good players. I know this is going to sound crazy.
But what makes those guys especially good with the Titans?
I would agree that when they're playing with Jeffrey Simmons, it opens it up for everything. Like
Yep.
Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith when they were playing with A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. I would agree.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think they can get by in a game with those guys,
Yes.
whereas
Against
if, say,
15.
well, especially against the Broncos. Whereas if, like, they had all these injuries in the secondary and now Caleb Farley's out there, they're poor.
Yeah. No, you're right. That there's a big difference between the two. And it's look, Mike Vrabel is awesome in these situations, and he's going to have to be awesome again. They've done a great job of coaching up that unit, and you worry if any of those guys get nicked up because they're running thin. And I don't know that you have to put a ton of pressure on Russell Wilson because he just hasn't been very good this year.
I actually was going to ask you about Russell. Corey Curtis, News 2 is our guest. What do you make about how bad Russell's been? Because every week I've watched Russell play, and I feel like I've watched Russell play every single week because they're always on primetime. He stinks. I mean, he freaking sucks. And I make fun of him, and I laugh, and I'm like, he stinks, and I'm glad that, even though I wanted the Titans to trade for him, I'm glad that they didn't. And now that we're approaching the Broncos game, there's a small part of me that's like, Russ did lead down a 2-minute drive at the end of the Jacksonville game in London, and they did have a bye week, and maybe Russ will figure the offense out. Should any part of me be worried about Russell Wilson on Sunday?
Well, look, we've saw for a long time Russell Wilson play at a really high level. So I think that there's always room for that concern, absolutely. But you're right, he's been terrible all year. I mean, terrible all year. Bad decisions, bad throws, disconnected from his receivers. It hasn't looked good. And on top of that, he hasn't been the running threat that he's been in the past. He hasn't run for over 30 yards in a single game this year. And he's always been a guy who's run to move the chains or run to extend plays because he really likes to go deep. So he's not always all about that. But that's always been a part of his game, and it's a part of his game that hasn't been as good as this year. And you just have to say, is it because he's found the fountain of middle age and not the fountain of youth? We're halfway through the season, and he's been bad the entire season. So I have a hard time believing we're going to suddenly see very good this weekend. So we'll see. I don't think he has to be great to win this game. I think he just has to be pretty good.
Corey Curtis, News 2 Fireball Hot Take Friday. What's your hot take?
I'm going to throw one right down the middle for you.
Okay.
This will be right up your wheelhouse. Is it time for John Hines to be in trouble?
That is the 3:30 to 4 o'clock block on this program, Corey. Is exactly where we're going, is right there with the Predators. Good hot take on your way out the door. Good stuff. Enjoy the game this weekend, and I will respond to your hot take on the other side.
All right, thanks, man.
Yep, Corey Curtis, News 2, joining us on the program. I didn't want to give away the good stuff there. But that's exactly what we're getting into next. And that is the Predators. And it is much bigger than last night's game, which was a train wreck. And I do not do this whole, well, they had a good first period. I don't care about that. I don't buy tickets for the second period only. I buy tickets for the game. And they sucked. And it's bad. And someone's got to tell it like it is, and that's going to be me. We're going to do that next. 615-737-1025. Corey and his hot take on his way out the door. Should John Hines be worried? I think it might even be bigger than that. Hey, join Big Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell tonight for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy from 6 to midnight. They'll preview the big games and then take you through the night of high school football around the Mid-State. It's the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with a shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Two icons, one night. Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks. Friday, May 19th, Nissan Stadium. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Together in Nashville for the first time ever. Don't miss Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks.
It's back. Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Okay, so what's that mean?
That means huge discounts, up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Like what?
Up to 50% off on slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy Billiards. Prices start as low as $14.99 installed, plus the matching bars and game tables. Even poker tables to complete our game room are on sale as well. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Wow, perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure is also featuring huge savings on massage chairs and home theater seating. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. And the top-of-the-line 40 massage chair is more than half off at $29.99.
What about the theater seating?
Family Leisure guarantees to be half off anyone's home theater seating. 3-piece recliner sets start at only $9.99. Full power recline real leather seats are only $19.99.
That's great! And they have stand-up and desktop arcade games with over 600 games, shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables.
It really is the Ultimate Game Room Sale.
The Ultimate Game Room Sale going on now at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Joe Rexrode here for OrderGreen.com. Listen, to do the job I do, got to stay on the move at all times. Lots of travel, early mornings. Sometimes it can catch up with you. And when it does, I always enjoy natural and enjoyable ways to de-stress my mind and body. That's why I use a high-quality, wide selection of THC and CBD products from OrderGreen.com. It's not just me. Lots of my friends are on the bandwagon here, including a sick family friend of ours who has gotten great benefits. OrderGreen.com. You subscribe, you save 25% off shipments of gummies, or use promo code Joe20 for 20% off your first purchase. OrderGreen.com.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
TSU football lives here.
On Saturday, the Tigers take on UT Martin. Coverage begins at 3:30 on 102.1 The Ville before shifting to 94.9 The Fan at 5:30.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Comfer far left wing. To center point, Devon Taves. Wrister tipped in by Logan O'Connor. Avalanche take the lead. 2-1 with 13:26 left in the second. And it deflects for a breakaway for Logan O'Connor. O'Connor in, backhand scores. 2 goals in less than 2 minutes for Logan O'Connor. And it's 3-1 Avs with 12:01 left in the second. Predators get a line change, but a breakaway for Rantanen. Out of the box, and he scores. Second period, long change. Means that your all-world goal scorer coming out of the box is a little bit closer to the other team's goal. And Rantanen makes it 4-1 Avs with 9:12 left in the second. Right side Rantanen, Avalanche power play right below us. One-timer deflected in. Evan Rodriguez took it. Colton Sissons blocked it, but the deflection gets through Lankinen, and it's 5-1 Avs.
Red stink. They got crushed last night against Colorado. It is not early in the season anymore. We are approaching U.S. Thanksgiving, and this hockey team's not very good. Now, we had Hal on yesterday. We told Hal, and one of the questions, I felt bad. I feel bad for Hal. But I appreciate the fact that it allows me to get my frustrations with the Predators off my chest for the most part. But right now, the Predators are a complete and total mess. They don't start out games very well. They don't close out games very well. Their top-end players outside of Forsberg, for the most part, aren't playing very well. In fact, they're playing terribly. Like Yossi, I mean, he's awful right now. The guys they acquired are not playing very well, Ryan McDonough and Nino Niederreiter. Their goalie is not playing very well. Last night they put in the backup goalie, and he didn't play very well. They're going up against every team that they play goes out there and just bang, 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 scores all these goals. The young players that they sold us on a couple of years ago, Tomasino, Tolvanen, Fabro, Carrier, all of them aren't playing very well. Or Tomasino, he's in Milwaukee and they won't ever call him up. So the young players aren't good. The good players aren't good. The new players aren't good. The defense isn't good. The power play is a mess. The goalie's not very good. Guys, they're not very good. And they promised us after last season. They sat down. It took them like 2 weeks to have a press conference after the season was over. Normally they have a press conference like 2 days after the season is over. It took them 2 weeks. And we all got excited that it took them so long to have a press conference because we were all hopeful that this meant they were going to fire the general manager and fire the coach. And then they didn't. And the general manager promised they were going to do better. And the head coach promised they were going to do better. And I asked the head coach, because remember, they got beat by Colorado. They got swept in the playoffs. They weren't close to Colorado. And the excuse that came out after the season was, well, I mean, Colorado's a great team. And that's why if you look at the Adam Vingan athletic poll that came out after the season, most of the fans were saying, hey, tear it down, rebuild it, get some high draft picks, get a new general manager in here that maybe will be able to draft and develop a forward, do something. And the Predators like, no, guys, we got it figured out. I asked the coach. I said, do you think that you're 1 or 2 pieces away with this group from being able to compete with Colorado? He said yes. And we learned last night that's not true. They got smoked by Colorado, a team that has been one of the best teams in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. 2 nights before, they got smoked by Seattle, a team that didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago. Think about that. Didn't exist, and they got smoked by them. This team is not very good, and they promised us. And here's where the disappointing disconnect is for me. I'm going to the game tomorrow. I love my hockey team, and I want them to win, but I'm frustrated. But here's the disconnect. We all know what they have to do. We all know it. I know it. You know it. And deep down inside, I think they know it too. They have to fire David Poile. They should have done it 2 years ago. They should have done it after the bubble in Arizona. They should have given him a year. And when that team wasn't very good, I know they made the playoffs, but when that team wasn't very good, they should have allowed David Poyle to retire, and John Hines should have coached with a new general manager, and as most new general managers do, they should have come in and fired the coach a year later and then started over. And at that point, Philip Forsberg wouldn't have had a new contract, and the expansion draft wouldn't have happened, and they wouldn't be stuck down with all the things now that they've got to deal with for the next handful of years. I mean, they can't really do a lot with this roster because everybody is locked in long term. Duchesne is locked in long term. Nobody will take Johansson. Yossi and Forsberg have no movement clauses. Ryan McDonough is absolutely cooked out there on the ice. They don't have any good young players because all the young players they told us were good aren't, as we see night in and night out. And we know it. The Adam Vingan poll before the offseason started, the Adam Vingan poll, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how confident are you that David Poyle can return this team to Stanley Cup contender status? And only a combined 12.7% gave them a 4 or a 5. The highest number was 38.4. The fans know. You know, and I know, and they know. Everybody knows. And the other thing that we know that is so frustrating about this team is we know they're not going to do anything about it. We know they're not going to fire David Poyle. We know that their pride is going to get in the way and keep them from firing John Hines. Now, look, I don't think John Hines is the problem of the Nashville Predators. I do not believe that the Nashville Predators have a roster anywhere near competing for a Stanley Cup. But I do think it's John Hines' fault that this team sucks this bad. And they suck. Make no bones about it. They're awful. Outside of having this unbelievable comeback with 3 unanswered goals and winning in overtime against Edmonton on Saturday night after they got down, Vancouver, after they got down 3-0 in the first period. Outside of that, they got housed for the most part on this road trip. They got spanked by Edmonton. They got spanked by Seattle. They got spanked by Colorado. And I'm so tired of the excuses. And I know you all are tired of the excuses too. This team is horrendous. And every year it's like the goalpost moves. It's like last year they made the playoffs, in which they fell apart completely in the second half of the season. They, I think, led for maybe a period in that 4-game series against Colorado. It wasn't particularly close. They got absolutely smoked. And afterwards it was, well, nobody expected us to make the playoffs, so everybody should be happy about it. Come on now. And they knew nobody was happy about it, so they promised, we promise we'll be good next year. And they're not. When they hired John Hines, it was, we think we've got a team that is right there to compete. And then they didn't. They lost to Arizona in the bubble series, and that Arizona team wasn't very good. They didn't even really make the playoffs. They made the play-ins, not the playoffs that year. And they got sent home in 4 games. By the way, I kept asking when they hired John Hines, because I found it fascinating that they would go hire a coach that had just been canned by New Jersey, and then they would sit there in front of us and they would tell us about how great New Jersey thought this coach was. And I kept asking, like, what's going to be different between here and New Jersey? And John Hines answered that question at his introductory press conference, and he talked about how New Jersey was a rebuilding team, but the Predators were ready to roll. And since that moment, the Predators under John Hines and David Poyle have won absolutely nothing. No division titles, no playoff series, nothing. Not even a play-in series, nothing. Guess who's good this year? New Jersey. This team's awful. And there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And it is so frustrating because you know that. I know that. And I think at this point, they know that. But they won't fire David Poyle. In retrospect, and it's easy to do this. It's easy to play the hindsight game. But in retrospect, I wish the Predators never had that month and a half at the end of the 2021 season. Because where they were in February of 2021 is a lot like where they were now. The dam was collapsing. The walls were caving in. It was a mess. I remember Elliot Friedman reporting that everybody was going to be on the trade block except for Rinne, Yossi, and Ellis. And I remember it was like, yeah, they're going to blow this thing up. And I was like, thank God they're going to blow this thing up. And then somehow, some way, they won a bunch of games for about a 6-week period, and that got them into the playoffs, and all of a sudden it's like everybody got a pass after that. It's like clean slate for everybody. And they haven't won a damn thing. They haven't won anything since 2018. The last time the Predators won a playoff series, Harold Landry had not even been drafted to the Titans. Mike Vrabel had not even coached a Titans game. The team the Titans were getting ready to play next was a Miami Dolphin team quarterbacked by Ryan Tannehill. That is how long it has been since the Predators have won anything. Since they won a playoff series. Laviolette hung banners in 3 consecutive years. He hung a banner in 2017 for winning the Western Conference. They hung a banner for winning the President's Trophy in 18, and they hung a banner for winning the division in 2019. The second week of 2020, the calendar second week of 2020, Laviolette was gone. So banner, half season gone. John Hines, half season, no playoff success. Full season, COVID year, no playoff success. Full season, team falls apart at the end of the year, no playoff success. Team is terrible. John Hines, no accountability. Nothing's happening to anybody. And so now it's gotten to the point that this isn't even an argument anymore, I don't think. I think it's obvious. I see, the Adam Vingan poll had 12.7% of the people giving David Poile a 4 or a 5 in the belief that he can turn him to a contender. 38.4% gave him a 2. He had more people give him a 1 by 10% than he did give him a 4 or a 5. I know, everybody knows. And in the same breath, it feels like we all know they're not going to do anything about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Your thoughts on the Predators. They do have 8 of 9 at home coming up. And I have a theory on this. With 8 of 9 at home, which I'll get to, and your phones. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let me tell you about FanDuel Sportsbook. And let me go ahead and get the paper that tells me everything to tell you all about how much I absolutely love FanDuel Sportsbook. That's right. FanDuel Sportsbook's my official sportsbook app, and it's yours as well. And what you got to love about betting on the NFL is you can always find new players or game props that you like. And what's great about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout, which is perfect for Sunday's game. Titans and Broncos, you know who's out for the Titans. So maybe I'd have to look at Melvin Gordon over rushing yards, Russell Wilson to throw an interception because he stinks, Derrick Henry over rushing yards because Tannehill might not even play. So I'd throw that in there. FanDuel is easy to use. They have live betting, fast withdrawals, so when you win, FanDuel will pay you your winnings quickly. And there's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay. So lock in your bet today on FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $150 free bets, win or lose, with the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue is not withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes! Touchdown!
Every three.
Free ball! Yes, sir!
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee!
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. After a rainy start to the day, a few more showers continue to linger into this afternoon. No Code Red weather in terms of severe weather, but an inconvenience throughout the rest of your Friday, and cooler temperatures move in for the upcoming weekend.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
312 Pizza Company is the official sponsor and location of Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
Don't miss out on Black Friday deals at Electronic Express. Come into our convenient locations for great deals on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, Whirlpool, LG, Polk Audio, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, housewares, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hal Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Everyone celebrates the holidays in their own special way, but you go twice as hard as everyone else. So does Dunkin', which is why they've created 2 espresso-rich holiday signature lattes. The minty, cocoa-dusted peppermint mocha and creamy cinnamon sugary toasted white chocolate lattes are handcrafted with bold espresso and topped with whipped cream to help you do the most this year. So swing by the newly remodeled Dunkin' on Bradley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and grab one today on the double.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I think that the players have to play better. I think that there are some guys who, I think there are some guys who aren't playing as well as they played last year. Like, you know, the number one thing is Saros looks a little bit leakier than normal. And last year he covered up a lot of mistakes. Like one of the stats I like to look at, and I just happen to have my computer open right now, but there's a stat that says it's basically goals saved above expected, okay? And basically what they do to make it really easy is they take a look at a shot that a goalie faces, and they look at things like what kind of shot is it, how close to the net was it. I think they talk about, did it come off a pass or did the player just skate in and shoot it? And basically they give you a value, like what you think, like what are the chances that this shot should go in? Is this a goal that it's understandable that you allow, or is it a bad goal that you're allowing?
Blah, 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 blah. Elliot Friedman on the Midday Show. You know, hey, the coach and the general manager hadn't won anything in 4 years. I hear you, but I think the players need to play better. Blah, 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 blah. God, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. The hockey world makes this even more frustrating. Because, again, the Predators have not won anything for 5 years. 5 years. They haven't won anything, unless you want to count the 2019 division. But almost everybody from that, except for the general manager, is gone, including the coach. I mean, it's like, they don't win anything. And then they're like, no, guys, it's the players' fault. Well, I'll be. You know, in every sport, you can blame the players. And I guess that's kind of the new cover here. And it kills me because Herb Fritsch, who owns the team, he's not going to fire David Poile. I asked him about it when he sold his shares to Governor Haslam, and he basically, gave me the whole, David's the all-time winningest general manager and all-time with winning all these games. He wins all these games because nobody fires him. That's why. Oh, it's so frustrating. But I did promise your phones. Now, I will say this before I get to him. Phone line driven by WisconsinHunter.com, by the way. I will say this. They have 8 of their next 9 at home. Even for this organization who doesn't fire people like that, if it's this bad after 8 of the next 9 at home, I think somebody's getting fired. I don't know who, but I think somebody's getting fired. That's all I can tell you. And I don't have any sourcing on that or anything. I just can't. We're approaching Thanksgiving, and U.S. Thanksgiving is the line of demarcation in the NHL. And I think if 8 of the next 9, if we get to Thanksgiving and we're as mad as we are right now about this team at Thanksgiving, then I think we're officially on Coach Watch 2022. Let's go. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Bob wants to weigh in on the Predators. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Bob?
After the last several games, several players on the Predators, I can't remember which ones, have made comments to the effect of, we've taken too many periods off, we've taken too many shifts off. And I want to ask you guys, when a player says that to you mean, hey, our effort was not there or our performance wasn't there? As a fan, it's alarming to me because that, trying to read between the lines, indicates that the effort might not be there, which worries me that Hines might be losing the group. I was curious about your comments about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what the players say anymore. Thank you for the call, Bob. The idea, Chris Mason, bless his heart on this TV broadcast because he's trying. I mean, I told somebody today, I feel like I need to send flowers to Chris Mason's house because you can literally hear him calling these games. And about a week and a half ago, Chris was like, they got to dig down next period. They got to go out there and they got to prove something this period. I mean, really the trend of Chris Mason, and I love Chris Mason, but the trend of Chris Mason over the last 4 weeks has gone from they played well enough to win tonight, they just didn't win, which drives me nuts, but I still love them, to they got to dig deep and they got to go out there and show us something, to, yeah, those are the things that are just tough for a hockey team at this point. I mean, it feels like a eulogy listening to Chris Mason call these games. He's so bummed out because they're so bad. So, again, what the players say, I don't really care about anymore. The Predators lead the league in what I call loser talk, which is, we thought we played a good game, but we didn't. That kind of stuff. The players didn't throw that coach under the bus. The last coach, they're not going to throw this coach under the bus. They're not going to throw the general manager under the bus. And ultimately, the biggest problem with the players is not so much so that they're not playing well, though that's what they will say. The problem with the players are that they're just not very good. That's the problem. And so when you put microphones in their face, they're not going to sit there and say, yeah, Lindsay, I think the problem is that I suck. They're not going to say that. But we know that that's the issue. This is not a good team, guys. They had Jordan Gross on their top defensive pairing for the last 2 games, and then he got scratched last night. All these young players are no good. Fabro, Tolvanen, Carrier, Cody Glass, who nobody wants except for the Predators, and they keep running him out there, and he's no good. They keep giving him chances. He's no good. And then there's Tomasino, who they won't even call up to the NHL anymore after playing him for a whole year there last year. The best young person with the Predators right now is Max Hers, who called the game last night. He's by far the best young asset they have. It's awful. It's awful. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying that I don't care I don't care what the players say. Bryant from Memphis texts in and says, Jared is 100% right. Thank you. It's no coincidence that New Jersey has gotten better since Hines was fired. Who do we hire for coach and general manager when they are finally gone? And also, Jared, you need to talk to Robbie about John Hines because he thinks that John Hines hasn't lost the team at all. I actually agree with that sentiment. I do not believe John Hines has lost the room. And I will tell you if I think the coach loses the room. Now, do I think that the guys think that John Hines can get it together? I don't know. But I don't think he's lost the room. I think that they still play hard for the most part. This is not an effort thing. This is not I do not think he's lost the room. Now, he asks about who are they going to get for GM and coach. I don't care because they're not going to do anything about it. At least they're not going to do anything about general manager, and that's the biggest problem around here, and we all know it. We know it. And I think for like the last 3 years, we all knew it. Like I knew it. I said after they lost the Arizona Bubble Series, David Poile gets one more year, and if I don't like the way things are, then he's got to go. And that was 3 years ago. And so I said, in 2021, it was time to make a change. And then they made the playoffs, and I said, it's time to make a change. And they lost the playoffs, and I said, it's time to make a change. And there were a lot of people who were like, no, Jared, David deserves another crack. Then after last year, everybody was like, it's time to make a change. But I think they felt like they didn't have to make a change. Now, I think even they know they have to make a change. But they're not going to do it. And I don't know why they're not going to do it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why David is so untouchable here. And Joe Rexrode's right when Joe just, thinks the idea of letting go of Hines is ridiculous because Poyle brought him in. But if things don't improve for 8 of the next 9 at home, that's probably what's going to happen. Even though that's, I got to tell you, man, it's hard to be a fan of this team right now for me. It's hard. And I know people aren't going to want to hear that. But when I took this job, I told them, because I had been at a station, at the end that was dealing with some serious, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, homer problems with teams that we had partnerships with. And when I took the job, I said, I can't be a homer. I just can't do it. It's just not me. And everybody agreed, yeah, you don't have to. You can tell it like it is. And I appreciate the Predators over the years for letting me do that. And the radio station and the Predators, for kind of respecting me from that standpoint. But it's hard to be a fan of this team right now. Because it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And then if it does get better, all that will do is it's not going to get better enough for them to win anything of note. It's only going to get better enough for them to try to convince themselves to keep David Poyle and John Hines. And the reality is we all know that nothing's going to change. Just like nothing has changed. They sat down with us after last year, and they promised it would be better. And they went out and they got 2 players, and this team stinks. And now everybody, the Elliot Friedmans of the world and everybody else are saying we should blame the players. And I've never understood that. I mean, the way I look at it is the goalie stinks, the defense stinks, the forwards stink, the power play stinks, the young guys stink. I mean, at some point, that does fall on the coach. When every single thing is bad, it is the coach's fault. Their starts are bad, their finishes are bad. That's the coach's fault. Their team is bad. That's the general manager's fault. So, it's hard. But we'll see. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. To the Titans and Ryan Tannehill's ankle injury I guess it's not getting better. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
The door's on the board.
Strike 3, sounds win.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome Game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Searching, ordering, tracking. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Blackberry Smoke's Brothers and Sisters Ryman Reunion.
Yeah, I can feel a good one coming on.
Thursday and Friday, February 9th and 10th, Ryman Auditorium.
Are we waiting for the thunder?
Blackberry Smoke.
My pony ride out of this one horse town.
Tickets on sale now at Ryman.com. Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access, proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 18th, 19th, and 20th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collections all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is also included. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. Genesis Diamonds. November 18th through 20th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stone & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Live in the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. No Caroline today. She did the midday show earlier today and did a fantastic job. So the news of the day surrounding the Titans, the injury bug has hit the team once again. I don't know if that is a reflection of the training staff or not, or if it's just the reality of the physical game that they played against Kansas City and the fact that the defense was on the field for 100 plays. But Jeffrey Simmons is out for Sunday against Denver. Bud Dupree is out. Amani Hooker is out. Zach Cunningham is out. And then a bunch of other dudes, a slew of guys are questionable, including Ryan Tannehill. And I do wonder at what point will Ryan Tannehill's ankle heal up enough for him to be 100%, because it feels like that's what it is going to take in order for him to get off the injury report and get in a game. And again, everybody gets mad at me because I say things like Steve McNair would have played, or I say things like even Carson Wentz, after spraining both ankles last year, including a high ankle sprain, played a week later against the Titans. And yes, he was immobile, but he did it. But apparently Tannehill can't. Now, as far as winning the Broncos game is concerned, with Malik Willis at quarterback, I'm completely torn. I told you all that if Malik played against the Texans, I would take the Texans. I picked the Texans 16-3 on the pregame show when we knew that Malik was going to play. Now, I was wrong about that. Apparently, they were good enough with Malik at quarterback and no passing game in order to beat the Texans. Then, after I spent all day Friday telling you all that I thought the Titans were going to go to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs because they're a bad matchup for the Chiefs, and I assumed that Tannehill was going to play, I switched my pick to Kansas City when I found out he wasn't going to go, which tells you what I think of Malik out there at quarterback, and the tape doesn't lie. I'm right. Now, that being said, against this Broncos team, I'm a little torn. The Broncos are second in the NFL in both total defense and points allowed, which means that their defense is pretty good. In fact, think about all the games they've been on in prime time, and the story about the Broncos has been about how bad Russell Wilson has been. And he has, make no mistake about it, he has been bad. But they're in every single one of those games. First game of the year, Russell Wilson, Broncos, Nathaniel Hackett, bad, stupid, goes for it, or kicks the field goal for 64 yards. They lose to Seattle. But that was a close game. Why? Because they have a defense. Second game of the year, they played the Texans. They won the game. Texans aren't very good, but it was still close because offensively they ain't very good. Then they played the 49ers on Sunday Night Football, and they won. Jimmy Garoppolo walked out of the back of the end zone for a safety, but they were bad on offense. But they won because they're good on defense. They lost to the Colts on Thursday Night Football in a game in which Indy's offense was just as bad as Denver's. It's just Russell choked at the end. They went to overtime, and they lost to the Chargers because the two guys ran into each other on a punt return, but their defense played great against Justin Herbert. He set an NFL record for pass attempts without a touchdown in that game. And even last week against Jacksonville, they played okay. So the Denver defense is good. And if Malik's out there against a defense that is good, my guess is Derrick Henry's not going to be able to run the ball up the middle for 150 yards. Which then takes us to the real question about trying to beat the Broncos, which is Russell Wilson. Now, I'm a little torn here on Russell Wilson because I've spent all year laughing and mocking Russell Wilson. And I think we can all agree that Russell Wilson and what we thought he was, including me, what we thought he was and what we thought the Broncos were getting. I thought the Broncos overpaid when they traded for Russell Wilson because it was essentially 3 first-round draft choices because they sent in a tight end who they took in the first round, plus 2 seconds and another player. And I thought, that's a lot to give up for a quarterback in his mid to late 30s who had an injury last year. But at the same time, it's a starting quarterback. And if you have no quarterback, you're not very good. And if you're the Bengals and really all you have is a quarterback, you can make it to the Super Bowl. So maybe that's the right price. Maybe that's the going rate. That's the right thing to do or something like that. But man, Russell's been bad. Every week, it's a referendum on how horrendous that trade was. And I have been laughing every single time I've watched him play. I mean, so much so that when the first 2 passes he threw against the Jags in the London game, the first one should have been intercepted. The second one was intercepted. And yet, with all of this Russell Wilson comedy, there's a part of me that is still thinking in the back of my head in Sunday's game, well, they just came off of a bye, and it's taken a while for Russell to get the Nathaniel Hackett offense. And Nathaniel Hackett, even though he's a dope, maybe he won't be so stupid with all those guys that are out for the Titans, that maybe Russell will look a little bit like the Russell in Seattle, and that if Malik plays quarterback against the Russell in Seattle and the Titans can't get any offense because the Titans are going up against the number 2 ranked defense in the NFL, and because everybody in the ballpark knows Derrick Henry's going to get it, and surely somebody is going to be good enough to stop Derrick Henry when he runs it up the middle and he gets it, that maybe Russell Wilson can make enough plays to beat the Titans. It's like I'm torn. And I hate that. But this reminds me of what I've kind of felt all season long, which is I felt like the Titans could beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think the Titans are, quote-unquote, better than the Chiefs, but I think they're a bad matchup for the Chiefs. And I think the Titans outside of Buffalo can beat any team. I really do. That includes when they go to Philadelphia later this month. I think they can beat the Eagles. I don't think they will, but I think they can. I think they can beat the Chargers. I think they can beat the Cowboys. I think they can beat the Bengals. And I surely think they can beat all the other teams. And yet, the one thing we have to remember about the Titans that we said all season, even when Tannehill was quarterbacking them, was they could lose to Vanderbilt if they play the way they're capable of. Well, for whatever reason, if Tannehill can't play, even though he was a full participant in practice yesterday, even though the video that Jim Wyatt put out there made it look like Tannehill's fine for the most part, as far as fine goes in the NFL, Tannehill looks like he should play. But if Tannehill can't toughen it up and the Titans have to put Malik Willis out there, and apparently just like how the Predators won't fire the general manager, even though we all know it's time, the Titans won't change the backup quarterback, even though we know that they can't win with this guy for the most part, then I think they're in some trouble against the Broncos. Even though I don't think Russell Wilson's very good. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. We'll get to Trevor Maddich later this hour, by the way. 615-737-1025. And the takeaway from the Mike Vrabel Coaches Show. You know, I've gotten into the Coaches Show, the Coaches TV show. Vrabel is starting to hint things on the Coaches TV show. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Fireball Hot Take Friday. I love Fireball whiskey. That's right. Big weekend. It's about to get cold outside, and the only way to heat it up is with ice cold Fireball cinnamon whiskey. You're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it's ice cold on the outside, but it is Fireball on the inside. Fireball whiskey goes down so smooth and is the perfect way to celebrate whatever occasion you may be celebrating. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. Night to night, please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy Fireball Whiskey.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Huge discounts up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy pool tables. Prices starting as low as $14.99 installed.
Perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure has huge savings on massage chairs. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. 4D massage chair more than half off at $29.99.
Family Leisure guarantees to beat anyone's advertised home theater seating prices. Shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
OrderGreen.com. You know them by now. They're my only choice for high-quality THC and CBD products, and they're delivered right to my doorstep. Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here. Yes, you heard that right. OrderGreen.com will send cannabis products right to you with discreet same-day shipping. OrderGreen.com has been great for me. Just what I need during this busy time of year. Takes the edge off physically, mentally. Terrific products. And if you use promo code Joe20, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com. Do you have a subscription to OrderGreen.com? It'd be a lot cooler if you did. You won't be able to tell if you're in Colorado or Tennessee. Trust me. That's OrderGreen.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Key number one, they're going to want to run the ball.
Yeah, I think they are. I think that's what they've done. That's what they want to do. That's what this offense is designed around, and it allows them to create other opportunities for the receivers if they can do that. You know, Russell Wilson has always been good at play action. That's something that he's done well in Seattle. And if it's not there, we know that he can extend. And part of that stop on the run is going to be the quarterback and scrambling around. And they don't have many designed runs for him, but his ability to extend the plays and keep them alive, you know, is just as critical as stopping the run when they hand it to, you know, Murray or Gordon or Edmonds or whoever that may be.
And disrupting the short pass game, too.
Sure, and the timing and being able to get our hands up. You know, we've got some guys that have batted some passes down at the line of scrimmage. I mean, we even got Mahomes once or twice, and he had only had 4 or 5 coming into the game. So as good as he was at that, we were still able to work on it and focus on it. But being able to do that is something that's going to be critical.
The Mike Vrabel Coaches TV show, which I worry about. I worry about highlighting this, Ian. You know why?
Why is that?
Because the last 2 weeks, I'm starting to realize that the Vrabel keys to the game that he has at the end of the Coaches TV show are legitimate keys. Yeah. Like, these are the things that he's telling the team. And I do worry that if I make a big deal about that, what do you think is going to happen?
You think he's going to change the keys on you? Oh, he's going to stop divulging the info. You're worried about that.
Bingo!
Yeah.
Because remember last week, I got my freaking panties in a bunch over Vrabel talking about, you know, on offense, they got to run the ball against Kansas City. And I was like, they're going to have to throw the ball at least a little bit to win. And in hindsight, I look back at that and I'm like, that was a key because he knew who was playing quarterback, Malik. And so he knew, okay, yeah, we're going to have to run the ball here. And when I hear Vrabel's key, none of the keys that he had involved Russell Wilson. Other than that, they run the ball and then run Russell off of running the ball. Like that Russell, you know, that is effective throwing the ball off of the run. But when I think of the Broncos running the ball, I'm like, Javonte Williams has been out for a month and is out for the season. And Melvin Gordon, their other running back, he's not very good anymore. And so they really don't have much of a running game. And I went and looked it up. They are 21st in the league in running the ball. And so Mike Vrabel says that the key is the running game. I don't even know. Is Melvin Gordon their number one back? Oh, no, I know who their other guy is. Yeah. Mike Boone.
And I think they traded for Chase Edmonds.
I think that's right, too.
When Miami picked up Jeff Wilson Jr.
But I remember Mike Boone last year when Derrick Henry got hurt, and somebody texted the midday show about Mike Boone, and nobody knew who Mike Boone was, and I didn't know who Mike Boone was. So Mike Boone, they have him. I mean, am I really supposed to be scared of a broke down, fumbles the ball too much Melvin Gordon, a Chase Edmonds who nobody wants, and Mike Boone and the 21st ranked rushing attack, which means one of two things. Because, again, I do think that the Mike Vrabel keys are very telling. One is that Mike Vrabel thinks Russell sucks. That is the first assumption that I make off of this, which is Mike Vrabel's telling us Broncos offense, where they've got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, who I believe is out for this game, but they didn't know that when they taped the coach's show. KJ Hamler. They got Albert Oguka, whatever his name is.
I think they've been using, what's his name? Dulcich.
Oh, yeah, Greg Dulcich as well.
Yeah, TD was talking about yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, they got guys that can catch the ball and run with it. And Vrabel's key is the running game. I'm like, man, either one, Vrabel thinks Russell sucks, which I think Russell sucks now, but it's a different thing for Vrabel to be like, yeah, we're game planning against the run because Russell's no good. Or two, I think this is fascinating too. One thing, when the Titans lost to the Giants the first week of the year, we talked about the things that happened in that game and whether or not we were worried that these were going to be season-long issues or if they were going to be just that one-game issue. And one of those, for instance, was completions with Hooper and Robert Woods. You know, they didn't really throw a lot of targets to them, and so is that going to be a season-long thing or a right-now thing? And obviously the answer is it's a season-long thing. But what I found to be fascinating was the running game. Saquon Barkley ripped off a couple big runs, and everyone was like, oh, the run defense isn't very good. And I was like, run defense will be fine. And I never worry about the other team's running game because Jeffrey Simmons is always in there. And so now with Jeffrey Simmons out,
and Dupree.
It's easy. And Dupree, but more so Simmons, running the ball. But with Jeffrey Simmons out, is it going to be harder now for David Long Jr. and Dylan Cole and all those guys that make all those great tackles in the running game to be able to get there because Simmons isn't eating up the other team's offensive line?
Maybe Vrabel was foreshadowing a little bit. Maybe he knew a little bit was going on, and he started to worry about the run game because he realized he's not going to have his big horses in there.
Bingo! That he basically was telling DeMarcus Walker and Kevin Strong and Danico Autry and, guys, you're going to have to take care of the running game. Because normally Jeff does that, but he's out. You guys have played great so far, but you're going to have to play even better because he normally shoulders the load there. So run. I'm worried about the run. And that goes back to the point about these keys to the game on this coach's TV show. Maybe it's a good thing I highlight this because maybe more people will watch the coach's show, but maybe it's a bad thing because then Vrabel will stop giving out a little information. It feels like that key on Tuesday night was a symbol that Jeffrey Simmons wasn't going to play.
It's almost like he's talking about the keys in relation to what he's worried about for his team this week, more so than it is about the opponent.
Yes, because that's what he's telling the team. Just like running the ball at Kansas City, if he knows Malik's going to play, he's going to tell the team, guys, we have to run the ball because Malik's going to play. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Zach is up next here on Tannehill. Thank you for calling. What you got, Zach?
I just wanted to say I don't think there's any reason we should be putting so much pressure on Tannehill to play. It doesn't make sense why we would hire Malik Willis to just sit on a bench.
Tannehill. What do you want Malik Willis to do?
I want him to play.
Why?
I think Tannehill got an injury, and I think he's torn up from last year's playoffs. He went to therapy, and I don't think there's any reason he should be bringing the rest of the team down. I think Malik Willis is a perfectly good quarterback. And
what makes you think Malik Willis is a perfectly good quarterback? He completed 6 passes or whatever last week.
He's dynamic. He's got the energy, and most of all, he's not injured.
What games, Zach, thank you for the call. What games do you guys watch? Like, in all seriousness, like when you guys sit down and you turn on the TV last Sunday night at 7:20 and you put it on NBC, did you watch the same game I watched? Malik is a perfectly good quarterback. What? Did you watch the same game I watched? That Texan game? Like, we're talking about starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I know Tannehill ain't Josh Allen. But Tannehill is a perfectly fine starting quarterback in the NFL. Malik is a third-round rookie with no experience. And third-round quarterbacks usually aren't franchise guys. Russell Wilson this week is an exception. But for the most part, it's Mason Rudolph. It's Davis Webb. It's Giovanni Carmazzi. It's guys you've never heard of. And Malik's not very good. Malik's a perfectly fine quarterback. Please. What? Malik might be a fine quarterback down the road. Malik might not even be a backup in this league. We don't know yet. Malik's a perfectly fine quarterback. Goodness gracious. What do you guys watch the same game as me? I'm serious question. Because I hear a take like that and I'm like, what are you guys watching? Trevor Maddich is going to join us. Boy, we got to get down to the bottom line, this LSU conspiracy theory thing that Caroline keeps pushing. I mean, it is driving me insane.
She tried to debunk that today, if you were listening. Karen on, yes.
I heard. We gotta get into that with Trevor. Plus, I do wonder about TCU's rest of the way. I do wonder about Oregon. And, I feel like Tennessee fans should feel safe. We'll get with Trevor Maddich, ESPN college football analyst, and we'll look at the games this week as well. We'll get Trevor's thoughts on that coming up next. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. My guys love Hiller. They've been proud supporters of this program, and they've taken great care of my home for years. And guess what? We're going to keep doing that with Hiller, and I am so thankful for that and for them. Fall means cooler weather is coming, so make sure your family is warm in your home with my friends at Hiller. It's going to get cold this weekend. HVAC replacement this month. Take advantage of Hiller's Happy HVAC Comfort Bundle, which includes that HVAC replacement, a germicidal UV light, an extended 10-year warranty, and a free Solo smokeless stove. Or get a free Solo stove with a new whole home generator or whole home water filtration and descaler. Plus, Hiller is offering 0 interest for up to 12 months on all these purchases. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or Services Free Guarantee, and I know that because I've been using Hiller for years. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Vols, the Preds, and Vandy. Hiller! Call the Happy Face Truck today.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ajax Turner Company, Middle Tennessee's Anheuser-Busch distributor, is hiring full-time warehouse order pickers, forklift drivers, merchandisers, delivery, and more. Pay rates have increased, and new hires will now be eligible for a $500 sign-on bonus. This is more than seasonal work. This is a career with year-round stability and promotional opportunities. Go to ajaxturner.com/careers to apply or call 615-280-3904 for further details about open positions. Please remember to drink responsibly.
Half of me wants a cold. Hey Nashville, Thomas Rhett here. My Home Team Tour 23 is on sale now.
Thomas Rhett, Home Team Tour 23 with special guests Cole Swindell and Nate Smith. Friday, September 29th, Bridgestone Arena. On sale now.
Get your tickets at livenation.com and come party with us.
Hey Nashville, TJ Anderson here. With real estate listings, you have to read between the lines. Like cozy means super small, great bones means money pit, and motivated sellers, well, that means the honeymoon is probably over for them. My team at TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty is ready to help both home buyers and sellers decode the market. Oh, and if the house needs a little TLC, you should probably pack your hazmat suit. Google TJ Anderson Homes, read our reviews, and see why we are referred for a reason. TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, 615-432-2919.
What's up, everyone? It's me, Michelle Knezovic, and I want to know if you can beat Vegas this football season. Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at Superbook in Las Vegas. Listen, I like the Tennessee Titans plus 305 to win the division. I still think that they have a chance to take the AFC South. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promos bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com. Start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Blackberry Smoke's Brothers and Sisters Ryman Reunion.
Yeah, I can feel a good one coming on.
Thursday and Friday, February 9th and 10th, Ryman Auditorium.
Are we waiting for the thunder?
Blackberry Smoke.
My pony ride out of this one horse town.
Tickets on sale now at Ryman.com.
To me.
Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access, proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Did he get it? He did. Touchdown, Vandy. This is your home for Vanderbilt football. This Saturday, Vandy football takes on Kentucky in Lexington. Our coverage across the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield begins at 9:30 a.m. Vanderbilt is on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
College football weekend is upon us, and I have to be honest with everybody. I was talking to somebody today, and they said that they were going to the Tennessee and Missouri game, and I was like, oh. It's like the Tennessee-Georgia, the Tennessee-Alabama. There was so much juice for those games over the course of this season that now, Missouri, South Carolina, Vandy, it's like, all right, wake me up when that's over and Tennessee gets into the playoff. And that is crazy to think about, that here we are in early November and Tennessee will not play another meaningful football game until, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, whatever it may be, and that will be in the national semifinal. Now, I did hear Caroline trying to defend this idea earlier today in which Derek laughed and said that she wasn't a conspiracy theorist. But I did hear Caroline trying to defend the LSU take, which drives me insane. And I don't think Caroline has this LSU take because she's a homer. I think Caroline has this LSU take because she's let people talk herself into it, which is people on ESPN have been talking about how if LSU wins out, which means that they would beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, which is not going to happen, but they say if it happens, then would they have a chance at backdooring into the playoff over Tennessee? And yesterday I told you the 4 reasons why that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Number 1, LSU is not going to beat Georgia. I think we can all agree with that. Number 2, LSU has 2 losses, and the College Football Playoff Committee has never taken a 2-loss team. They have taken a no-loss Cincinnati out of the group of 5 over a 2-loss conference champion. Now, people will say the College Football Playoff Committee has never not taken the SEC champion. Right. Because the SEC champion in the college football playoff era has never had 2 losses. Alabama never had 2 losses. Georgia never had 2 losses the 2 years they won the 1 year that they won the SEC. LSU did not have a loss the year that they won it or they got into the national semifinals. So it's never happened, but they have taken 2-loss conference champions. They didn't take a 2-loss Penn State, who won the Big Ten in 2016, but they did take 1-loss Ohio State. So, 3rd, Tennessee smoked LSU. And 4th, if we all sat down, even if LSU runs the table, and I will say this, after their embarrassing loss to open the season against Florida State, LSU has gotten better throughout the course of the year. They are a respectable team. I don't think they're a great team. They're a respectable team. I think their loss to Alabama had more to do with what I am so disappointed in with Alabama. But at the same time, fine. But if we were all sitting around and we were all the members of the committee and we were saying, okay, LSU and Tennessee, we'd all pick Tennessee. And the reason that they're talking about this so much on ESPN is because it's the juiciest item to talk about when it comes to the playoff. Because the cat's kind of out of the bag. When the first set of the college football playoff rankings came out, what they did was they made us think every week that all these games, and the committee's going to rank them here, and then and then the last week of the year, even though Ohio State went in behind TCU and Baylor, after they beat Wisconsin 70-0 in the Big Ten championship game, they bumped Ohio State over TCU and Baylor. And we learned, that week-to-week ranking thing, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter that TCU was 7th last week. It didn't matter that they ranked Ohio State ahead of Georgia in the first ranking. That stuff doesn't matter. And we know that now. We've been used to that long enough. So when we sit there and we see the rankings come out, and ESPN owns the playoff, and ESPN owns all the shows, we know how this works. We know that Alabama is out. We know that the winner of the Ohio State-Michigan game is going to the playoff, and that the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game is not going to the playoff. So there's no real debate there, right? Like last week when they had Ohio State at 2 and they had Michigan at 5, there's no real debate. There's no debate over who's better between Michigan and Ohio State. Why? Because they'll play each other, so once that game happens, you'll know and we won't have to argue about it. So the ESPN folks are sitting there thinking, like, what is it? What is it that we can argue about that will get people's attention, that will get people to talk about us, that will get people to get all riled up and to pay attention to all these games? What is it? Well, the number 1 rated team right now in college football is Tennessee. The number 1 game this season, as far as total viewership, 13+ million against Georgia. The number 2 rated game was Tennessee against Alabama with 11.5 million people. So how can we work them in there? Let's see. They don't play any interesting games the rest of the way. They're going to smoke Missouri. Then after they smoke Missouri, they're going to smoke South Carolina. Then after they smoke South Carolina, they're going to smoke Vanderbilt even worse. So what is it that we can talk about with Tennessee? Oh, let's come up with this farcical idea that LSU with 2 losses could get into the college football playoff. And when everybody on ESPN talks about it, they all do this. It will be interesting to see what the committee decides to do if that, in fact, happens, period. What is that? That's that individual's commentator's way of not really saying, yeah, Tennessee's going to get in over LSU, even if LSU runs the table and if LSU miraculously beats Georgia. It's the commentator's way of just throwing it out there, and then they debate it without anybody actually putting their foot down. Nobody will put their foot down. Ian, if you can't get that Kirk Herbstreit from yesterday, nobody will put their foot down and say, I think LSU should go to the playoff if they win the SEC West and if they beat the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game, even though they have 2 losses and even though Tennessee killed them at their own building. Why? Because they don't think that. Because they know that Tennessee is going to go to the playoff. Listen to Kirk Herbstreit because they talk about it. And listen for this. It will be interesting to see what the committee does.
I feel like LSU, barring ultimate chaos, is sort of blocked by Tennessee because even if they win the SEC championship, I think it's hard to take LSU over Tennessee. And we've seen this situation before in 2016 with Penn State and Ohio State in the Big Ten.
Yeah, fair point. And for LSU, they just got to worry about trying to beat Arkansas right now. I mean, coming back down to earth and proving that they can be the team that they were last Saturday. But again, I think based on history, going back to 2014, it's building momentum into December. And we can look at the strength of schedule, and we can look at all these different metrics. Greg, to me, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I've seen give teams a push across the finish line, especially when there's that cluster, it's who do you not want to be on the field with? Who would you not want to play? I think based on momentum of the last 3, 4, or 5 weeks of the season, and what Larice is saying is fair. I mean, that would give Tennessee a trump card with that head-to-head battle, but style points are going to matter whether we like that or not down these last stretch of the season.
So what do you think, Kirk? What do you think? They won't say. But it gets the debate going. And then it gets people like Caroline saying on this show, well, I think that, no. It's a conspiracy theory. It's not going to happen. Tennessee is not going to miss the playoff in favor of LSU. Could they miss the playoff in favor of Oregon? I don't think they would. But then again, I'm trying to be realistic here. Maybe that's just what I would do. and not necessarily what's actually, that they would actually value that Pac-12 championship. That I can't tell you. All I can tell you is I wouldn't do it, and so I don't think they're going to do it, but they're not going to put LSU in there. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. There are a bunch of college football games this week, and they have some serious implications as far as the SEC and Tennessee as far as making the playoff is concerned. We'll get to those coming up, 615-737-1025. Let me tell you about TriStar Moving. My official movers. I love TriStar Moving. They are the best. TriStar takes great care of you because I know this because they took great care of me. That's right. I moved with TriStar 2 years ago, and they made my move absolutely stress-free. Whenever people ask me about moving companies and TriStar, I always give them the number for TriStar, which is 615-640-1219. But I always tell them this, get a bid. All you got to do is get a bid from TriStar and bid out with other companies. And once you talk with the TriStar sales staff, and once you get a feeling of what that company's about, and once you get a thorough bid from TriStar, you're going to be like, yeah, I'd rather have these people take care of all of my stuff. I can guarantee that, because that's how I found TriStar, was through that process. And they came out to my home, and we went over everything, and I love the bid, and I love the move, and they're fantastic. And the people that run it, Garrett and Robert, the owners, they're good men, good people that care about this community, and they care about doing a great job for their fellow Nashvillians. So give them a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio. They will give you 10% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. 10% is a lot on a move. So again, tell them Jared Stillman sent you. That's TriStar Moving, my official movers.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Cold tonight with low temperatures only in the upper 30s. Tomorrow morning we'll likely see some rain showers, possibly even some sleet, but I think the road should still be too warm for that to cause any issues. Otherwise tomorrow cold with highs in the mid-40s. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
The Nashville Jam Company is already a super popular weekend breakfast and brunch destination. But with summer over, it's time to put the beach body away for a while. So for fall, they've expanded their offerings and added what they call the Meat and Three menu. Yeah, cool weather and Southern comfort food go hand in hand. And the stars of this show are the hefty meatloaf, Southern fried catfish, slow-cooked pot roast, fried chicken, Salisbury steak, and a slew of other rib, stick, and delicacies. And they have salads, too, if you're into that kind of thing. Come see the new menu Monday through Friday from 10:30 till 2.
Attention hockey fans, come see Northeastern and Western Michigan face off at this year's Music City Hockey Classic in a matchup of two of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college teams at Bridgestone Arena Friday, November 25th, 6:30 p.m. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. Let the puck drop and the excitement begin. Northeastern Huskies versus the Western Michigan Broncos in Nashville, November 25th.
Thank you for calling Navy Federal Credit Union. How can I help you?
Hi, if I'm in the Army, not in the Navy, am I still eligible for membership?
Yes, you are.
What about my sister in the Air Force?
Her too.
And my dad's a Marine.
We serve all branches of the military, veterans, and their families.
My dog is a retired military working dog.
I'll see what I can do.
Find out if you're eligible at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hang out with Caroline Fenton this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on 102.5, 106.3 The Game as she previews the SEC football slate with Southeastern Carolines. Presented by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. She will give you her picks of the day and get you set before kickoff around the South. I'm telling you, I don't think she talks about the other games on this. This liner says she previews the SEC and she gets you set for kickoff around the South.
Southeastern Carolines. Perhaps it is strictly SEC.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know what Caroline's plan is for her show tomorrow. I thought she did a fantastic job today hosting the midday show with Derek. But let me say this. I have two huge college football thoughts I want to get off my chest, both surrounding Tennessee. And if you know me, I think you're going to be surprised that these are coming out of my mouth. But one, I think Tennessee is going to steamroll Missouri. I think they're going to embarrass them. I think they'll probably win by 35 points. They should win by something like 35 points. And if they don't win by 35 points, then I got a little bit of a problem about, Tennessee putting their feet up now that the bulk of their season is essentially over. But it shouldn't be that way. They should blow out Missouri. Jalen Hyatt should catch the ball 6 times for 800 yards. And, they should just absolutely dominate Missouri the way they've absolutely dominated everybody else on offense this season. And so I am not even thinking about that game. I know I was stunned to see that it was on CBS with an 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow, but I'm not even thinking about it. I'm moving on off that. There are 2 massive games tonight tomorrow night if you're a Tennessee fan. Number 1, 6 o'clock. Oregon hosts Washington. Now, here's the thing about Oregon. They had a new head coach because their head coach went to Miami, so they took the Georgia defensive coordinator. They played the first game of the year against Georgia in Atlanta, and Georgia absolutely smoked them. And because Georgia beat them by 30 points, I think it's 32 points more than Georgia beat Tennessee, I would assume that Tennessee would have the inside track on Oregon, even if Oregon wins the Pac-12, and it comes down to that 4th spot between Tennessee and between Oregon. But that I do not feel as safe in making that assumption as I do in making that assumption when I tell you that I don't see any way with which that LSU passes up on Tennessee. But if the number 25 team in the country, Washington, goes into Oregon tomorrow at 6 o'clock and beats the Ducks, now no matter what happens in the Pac-12, I don't think Tennessee has to worry about Oregon or the Pac-12 or anything like it at all. Moving on. Now, USC, at the end, they got the name brand, and that would worry me a little bit, and they got a quarterback, but still, I don't think so. Moving on if Oregon loses. Now, I don't expect Oregon to lose, but again, moving on if they do. 30 minutes later on ABC, TCU, who is now technically in the College Football Playoff Committee's top 4, TCU goes on the road to Texas. Now, I thought Texas was quote-unquote back when they played Alabama. I didn't know that Alabama might just be that bad, which they're not a bad team, but they're bad for Alabama. But this year, Texas has been kind of up and down. They've had some good games. They've had some bad games. Texas is not a special team. They got good players, and in a couple years, maybe next year with NIL and everything else, maybe Texas will be pretty good, but they're not a special team. But it still is hard to play at Texas. TCU, I also think, is not a special team. Just as Tennessee can put their feet up because the rest of the way for Tennessee, they don't have any more Alabamas or Georgias, TCU has Texas, who I think can beat them, and I think will beat them. They have Texas. Then they got to play Baylor, and then they got the Big 12 championship in which they're either going to get Oklahoma State, I believe, or Kansas State again. And both those games were close. And I don't think TCU's a special team. All you need if you're a Tennessee fan is you just need TCU to lose once. And even if one of those two teams makes it, TCU or Oregon, there's still that open spot for Tennessee because Clemson lost. But boy, wouldn't it be nice if you're a Tennessee fan if Tennessee goes out there and they dominate Missouri like they should, and they win that game, and so by 1 o'clock tomorrow, you know that the Missouri game is in the bag, and then tomorrow night you're flipping back and forth between the Oregon and Washington game, and you're flipping with that and the TCU-Texas game, and you see Oregon lose and you see TCU to lose, because then at that point, there's nothing that's keeping Tennessee out of the playoff. So those are massive games tomorrow. I think Oregon will beat Washington, and I think the TCU will lose at Texas. And I think that will be a good day for Tennessee fans, just like last Saturday was a good day for the Volunteers, even though they lost to Georgia because Clemson and Alabama lost. 615-737-1025. Matt texts into the text line and says, Tennessee will not make the playoff. Somebody come up for me how that's going to happen. You think TCU is going to run the gauntlet? TCU struggled with Texas Tech last week. Tennessee hasn't struggled with anybody except for Alabama and Georgia. You think TCU is going to go on the road to Texas, they're going to beat their number one rival Baylor, and they're going to win a rematch game in the Big 12? Because they had to do all three of those things. And then the committee has to jump Oregon ahead of Tennessee. Both things would have to happen. And I just don't think that's going to be the case. There's another thing that I guess I am bothered with. The Athletic ran a straw poll. I am not one that, generally speaking, cares about the Heisman Trophy. I can't even remember who won the Heisman Trophy last year. Was it Bryce Young?
I believe that is correct, yep.
Okay. I'm not a huge, Heisman Trophy guy. I value the Heisman Trophy more than I do, like, an MVP of the NBA award or something crazy like that. But I'm not a huge, Heisman Trophy guy or whatever. But apparently the Athletic ran a straw poll. And Joe was the only person in the country in the Athletic straw poll that had any votes for Bryce Young. I'm like, do you people watch these games? So no Bryce Young. Hendon Hooker apparently is totally out after what happened Saturday against Georgia. And Stetson Bennett's not considered. But boy, people love telling me about Drake May at UNC. I haven't watched Drake May take a snap this year. And he's going to win the Heisman? What big games has he played in? I'm trying to figure this out. Normally when a guy wins the Heisman Trophy, what happens is there's a big game on TV where the stakes are either so high that they have to win the game, or that the opponent is like Goliath and they have to do what Johnny Manziel did to Alabama in 2012. Last year, Bryce Young did that in the SEC championship game against Georgia. And I'm trying to think to myself, what has C.J. Stroud done this season? Hendon Hooker, I know he wasn't great against Georgia, but Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy. Go look at Lamar Jackson's stats in 2016 when they played Houston. Because Ed Oliver dominated that game. Lamar Jackson wasn't very good. His stats were horrible, and he still won the Heisman Trophy. You can have a game where the other team is better than you, at least in the past, where the other team is better than you, or you don't play very well, or you don't put up big stats. You can have that game and still win the Heisman Trophy. And so now C.J. Stroud, whose offense struggled with Northwestern, who is terrible, C.J. Stroud is the favorite to win the Heisman. Get out of here. Win a big game, and then we can talk. And if C.J. Stroud dominates Michigan, then we can talk. But until then, I haven't seen any Heisman Trophy performance this season like I've seen out of Hendon Hooker against Alabama, Bryce Young against Texas, Tennessee, and LSU, and I know they lost 2 of those 3, or even the 2 games that Stetson Bennett has played where Georgia has decided to flex their offensive muscle. Because against Oregon and the first half against Tennessee, Georgia decided to flex that offensive muscle, and they dominated. And Stetson was fantastic. Then they call the dogs off a little bit, and now it's like, oh, yeah, Stetson doesn't have the stats to be the Heisman Trophy winner. But C.J. Stroud Really? And then it just makes me mad. I'm not even a big Heisman Trophy carer, but it makes me mad because I think it's ridiculous. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360. I've got a bunch of grievances, mainly surrounding Tannehill, but a lot of grievances to go over with Chad. We'll do that coming up next here on the program. I am going to give something away, but you have to listen as I tell you about my friends at Edley's Barbecue first. And I'm going to tell you about Edley's Barbecue because I love Edley's Barbecue. That's right. Edley's Barbecue is fantastic. If you're going to a football game, whether it's tonight, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's the big game on Sunday, let Edley's handle all the tailgating prep. Get your smoked wings in easy 25 and 50 count platters, or easily take smoked pulled pork, brisket, turkey, and scratch-made sides family style. Edley's is perfect for the game at home, or if you're going to a stadium, or if it's a high school game, whatever it may be. Just let Edley's take care of it. Call your neighborhood Edley's or order online at edleysbbq.com. Edley's Barbecue has been Nashville's best barbecue, voted Nashville's best barbecue 4 years in a row. And again, they've got pickup, delivery, and full-service catering options if you're having a big event like we did last year for my dad's birthday, and we catered with Edley's. I love Edley's Barbecue. I love everything about Edley's Barbecue. My family loves Edley's Barbecue, and you will too. So let them take great care of that. That's your neighborhood Edley's or edleysbbq.com.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to theGameNashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
So I forgot to give these tickets away, but I promised I would, so I'm giving them away. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of tickets to Music City Hockey at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, November 25th. It's a matchup between two of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college hockey teams, as the Northeastern University Huskies will take on the Western Michigan Broncos at the Music City Hockey Classic at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, November 25th at 6:30. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680. Or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 25, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. It's the final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond, November 18th through 20th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Blackberry Smoke's Brothers and Sisters Ryman Reunion.
Yeah, I can feel a good one coming on.
Thursday and Friday, February 9th and 10th, Ryman Auditorium.
Are we waiting for the thunder?
Blackberry Smoke.
My pony ride out of this one horse town.
Tickets on sale now at Ryman.com. Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access, proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 is with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford today with Two Rivers Ford. Chad, good Friday to you.
Good Friday to you guys. Happy to be with you. I'm excited for the weekend, excited for this always entertaining segment and conversation with you guys.
So I want your thought on this. I have been criticized this week because I am the only person that is criticizing Ryan Tannehill. I mean, I used on Sunday, I said that Steve McNair would have played against the Kansas City Chiefs, and if Steve McNair had played, rest in peace to Steve McNair, but had he played, they would have won. If Tannehill had played, even if he was immobile, that would have been better than Malik Willis. They would have won. Tannehill practices all 3 days, including full yesterday, and now we're being told questionable for the game on Sunday. It's a low ankle sprain. Let's go. Get out there. It's one thing to say that Steve McNair would have played. Carson Wentz played last year against the Titans with 2 sprained ankles, including a high ankle sprain. Ryan Tannehill should have played Sunday. I think Ryan Tannehill should play this upcoming Sunday. And honestly, I'm getting sick of it, and then everybody gets mad at me when I say that. Your thoughts?
So, Jared, I've got good news for you, I think. Jonathan Hutton, my co-host, is sitting right next to me right now. And if he gives me the thumbs up, I'll say this, because I believe Eddie said it on his player's show, on his coach's show. Maybe off air. Off air he said it. Are you giving me the thumbs up, Hutton? Okay, good. Eddie George agrees with you, by the way. He thinks that Steve McNair would have played with this injury. So, Titans great Eddie George, breaking news here on your show, on 102.5 The Game, believes that you are correct, that Mr. McNair would have played, even though Ryan Tannehill did not. Here's what I'll say about it, Jared. I think that anytime you say that when you're not in the body of the player that's injured, you're going to get criticized because we just don't know. I've had a high ankle sprain before. I was in high school playing basketball. So I know what it did to me. I don't understand the difference necessarily between low ankle and high ankle. I know that some can require surgery, like Cedric Tillman with the tightrope surgery, like Tua had it at Alabama as well. I don't know. So it's tough to wade in those waters. I understand your argument, but I'm just saying that to say that you're not completely alone. There are others out there, I'm sure, that agree with you.
What do you make of the fact that he went out there on Sunday, but he didn't move around at all? He didn't tape up the ankle that has been taped every day he's practiced. And then he didn't move. He just threw the ball. Like, it would be like if I said, hey, Chad, let's go out on the field and toss me a couple, like it was nothing. And then he decided he wasn't going to play. I felt like Tannehill went into Kansas City knowing he wasn't going to play. And I guess I was disappointed that he didn't give it more of a try on Sunday night.
I mean, how disappointed are you if he doesn't play this Sunday
I'm
Sunday?
Furious if he doesn't play this Sunday.
Because he was full participant. I mean, I think it would be different this week if he doesn't play. I expect him to give it a go on Sunday. And you guys know I was not optimistic the last 2 weeks that he would be able to play. Certainly 2 weeks ago I knew he wasn't going to play. And then this last week I felt the same way. I felt pretty good about him not playing. I think he probably gives it a go on Sunday. It's just so hard to, say that, oh, well, he could go, or he could be productive, or he could be good, because we don't know the injury. But I expect him to go. But, Jared, I will say, I mean, if you were disappointed a week ago in Kansas City if he didn't play, it's totally understandable to be disappointed that he can't go this week also.
Well, I think the one thing, too, about the disappointment for me was that there was so much riding on that Kansas City game. And it was, I believe, had the Titans won the game, and I think if Tannehill had played, the Titans would have won that game, Chad. But, I mean, I think that that's for the second seed in the AFC. And I think Vrabel knows that because all those years that he was in New England, it always came down to some regular season game against Indianapolis, and the winner of that game got that playoff game on their home field. And if the game was in New England, the Patriots won. And if the game was in Indianapolis, Peyton won. And I think this is the same way. And the fact that Tannehill didn't give it a go, going back to the fact that Steve McNair would have played, or that Brett Favre would have played, or that Peyton Manning would have played, or Eli Manning would have played, or Phillip Rivers would have played, I thought Tannehill was one of those tough guys that was like, I can go. And it's like, hey, man, your shoulder's falling off from the socket. I know, but I can go. And I guess I'm just coming to the realization that he's not.
Well, let me differentiate between the two, because I do have it on good authority that Tannehill tried to play, and he lobbied the Titans to play. This is a different time and different era. Both ways, right? I mean, you say McNair would have played in the game. I agree with that. A big difference is McNair would have demanded to play and said he was good to go, and the medical staff and Titans coaches at the time would have had no problem with him playing. Mm-hmm. I do believe that Tannehill wanted to play. I think the way he looked physically prevented the coaching staff and medical staff from allowing him to play in this game, and instead said, well, you need to get better before we give this a go because you don't look good enough to play in this game. Would that have happened with McNair? No. McNair, I'm sure, pulled that plenty of times where he was, maybe 60, 65% and couldn't move all that well, but was allowed to go in the game and play. So I do think times have changed on both sides. So, it's not all on Tannehill with this. I really believe he lobbied to play and the Titans wouldn't let him.
Okay, so let's that for a second. You think Tannehill wanted to play and he didn't get medically cleared to play? Because I assume that he was medically cleared if he was practicing, and then Vrabel said that it was his decision to hold Tannehill out. And then Ian heard, word on the street, told Ian, and Ian won't tell me what word on the street is. Nobody tells me who they talk to. They just tell me I know. Word on the street from Ian was that I was incorrect. I wasn't incorrect. What was the word on the street again, Ian?
Something about to the effect of, how do you know that he was cleared to play?
Okay, so word on the street to Ian was, how do I know that he was cleared to play? And now you're saying that he wasn't cleared to play?
So there are different things here. By the way, Ian's got really good sources. He should not give those sources up. I'm completely with Ian on this. I won't give my sources up either. You can be technically medically cleared to play, and then the coaches can come back and say, you're not playing. Because while you're medically cleared to play, you're not 100%. The ankle's only going to get worse, and you're going to be dealing with this longer. So you're not playing tonight. Those are two different things. I'm not saying with 100% certainty that's what happened, but I'm telling you that's also an option. Like if we're looking at different doors, we're going A, B, and C. Tannehill, he could have gone and decided he didn't want to play and didn't play because he couldn't deal with the pain. That's one option that I think you're kind of putting out there. The second option is he's medically not cleared to play. I don't know that that's technically the issue. The third option is he's medically cleared by a doctor to play. He wants to play, and his coaches or his coach or someone says, you're not going to play tonight because I've seen you in warm-ups. I saw you in practice this week. It's not a good thing. It's only going to get worse. You're going to sit this one out. I'm going to save you from yourself right now. Because we have had situations where we've criticized coaches for not saving players from themselves, right? Whatever the situation may be. Sometimes it's concussion in the past, other injuries. At times, the adult, the coach, has to step in and say, I know you're a great competitor. You may want to go. You're not going to play in this game for this reason, even if he was technically cleared to play in the game. I hope that makes sense of the three different options I'm laying out of what may have happened.
Man, I feel like I'm back at square one with that. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 is our guest. The Broncos this week. Russell Wilson, I think he stinks. And we've watched every game that he's played because they've all been on primetime on national TV somehow, some way. And yet, maybe it's because I get nervous about everything, but there's a part of me, Chad, that's like, well, Russell, they had a bye week, and maybe he's getting more used to his surroundings in Denver, and maybe Nathaniel Hackett is learning how to be a coach better, and he did lead them down for a fourth-quarter drive at the end of that Bronco game. Should I be worried about Russell Wilson this week against the Titans?
Yes. You should be worried about the Titans losing, and Russell Wilson's a part of that. This is going to be a close game. I mean, it's totally fair to be nervous about the Titans losing this game. Really, the way both teams have played this year, this is going to be a grinded-out, low-scoring affair with both teams. It's going to be infinitely more difficult for the Titans if Tannehill doesn't go. But even if Tannehill goes, I think this is a Titans team that's not scoring more than 24 points. It's a team that's going to be in low-scoring battles. Look, the coaching matchup, I mean, Mike Vrabel is Vince Lombardi compared to Nathaniel Hackett. It is not even close. Mike Vrabel's an elite NFL head coach. Nathaniel Hackett is one and done in Denver. So put that out of your mind. The Titans will be better coached. Even with the defensive injuries, the Titans' ability to plug and play on defense is second to none. They're going to be fine on defense, but they're not scoring enough to pull away from anyone unless they get a defensive score or two. So I really see this as being a 16-13 type game one way or the other. I mean, I think it's completely fair to be nervous. I think the Titans win, but it's going to be close.
Chad, do you think the medical staff of the Titans should be criticized because they have all these guys out? Dupree's out again. Simmons is going to be out. Hooker's out. Zach Cunningham's out. And the injury report is like a textbook. And last year, it was a thing of pride. 91 guys last year. But now all of a sudden, A.J. Brown, who could never be healthy, he goes to Philadelphia and he's never hurt. And so do you think we should be looking at the Titans training staff right now?
I would say if there's a lot of soft tissue injuries, it's always safe to look at a training staff or conditioning staff. Not really the issue with most of these injuries. So, no, I don't think it's fair to point fingers at that when you're talking about football. I mean, if you had a ton of calf and hamstring and quad injuries and pectoral issues and things like that, then, yeah, I think it's fair to look at your preparation if you're suffering a lot of soft tissue injuries, but not really the case with the Titans.
Chad Withrow's with us, Outkick 360, presented by Two Rivers Ford. On the other side, not an interesting game for Tennessee this week against Missouri. In fact, I mean, I don't even know how much I'll watch of it because I think they'll blow them out. But two fascinating games as far as the playoff is concerned for Tennessee. We'll get to that, plus my bone to pick with the Heisman Trophy. And honestly, there's a lot of things right now about this town and sports that are bothering me. And maybe I'll get those off my chest, too. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, joining us on the program. But he does want to tell us about how much he loves Two Rivers Ford.
I love Two Rivers Ford because they treat me like family. They treat everyone that walks through their door just like family. I've been doing business with them for years now, and it's because you're always going to get that family feeling. They treat you like a friend. They treat you how they want to be treated when you go do business with them. And right now at Two Rivers Ford, you can custom order any new Ford you want, any model, any color, and available features. They'll get your Ford manufactured for you and deliver it right to your door. But what about price? Is it more expensive to custom order than to buy off the lot? Not at all at Two Rivers Ford. They have the best prices around whether you buy off the lot or you place a custom order. That's because Two Rivers Ford still sells below MSRP on all non-specialty new Fords like they've always done. I think it's really cool that Two Rivers, they could have raised their prices during the pandemic. They could have raised their prices during the supply chain issues. They did not do that because they want to sell at a fair, honest price. It's the way they've been doing business for almost 40 years. It's a fair price, great service, and they keep customers coming back for decades, just like my family. You can always count on Two Rivers Ford to be honest and upfront and never gouge their customers. And when it comes to your trade-ins, you always get the max trade-in guarantee at Two Rivers Ford. So custom order the exact Ford you want, get a great price, get the most for your trade-in, and feel good about shopping with a locally owned business that has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
If you own a house, you've got a huge asset, and everyone's looking at it. With Wall Street investors buying up homes in Nashville and renting them out like never before, you have to wonder, what do they see in your big asset that you don't? If you sell your home instead of renting it, you can kiss your asset goodbye. The best way to save your asset is to rent it out. Go to renterswarehouse.com to book your free home rental price analysis or call 615-398-9550. Renters Warehouse. You can't buy happiness, but you can rent it.
This segment of ESPN 1025 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent Train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Saturday, November 12th as your Nashville Predators take on the New York Rangers and support the Nashville Predators Foundation's annual Second Harvest Food Drive. Purchase your tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets and drop off any non-perishable food donations on your way into the arena. We can't wait to see you Saturday, November 12th at Bridgestone Arena. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds!
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
Never miss a moment of the show. What is this? Check it out. Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this Sunday following the Titans game, tune into the post-game show with Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow live from the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway. The post-game show is brought to you by Renters Warehouse, Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford, and Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today. Chad Withrow is with us, Outkick 360, presented by Two Rivers Ford. And, Chad, I don't think the Tennessee-Missouri game will be interesting at all tomorrow. I think Tennessee will kill Missouri. I'm not nervous for it. You shouldn't be nervous, though I'm sure there's at least 1% of you that's nervous because that's, I feel, sometimes how you get with Tennessee. But Oregon and Washington tomorrow and TCU and Texas, both are massive games, in my opinion, for Tennessee, because I think Oregon maybe could jump Tennessee into the playoff if they win the Pac-12, even though they shouldn't, because they lost to Georgia by all those points, and TCU's going to have to lose a game somewhere along the way. There's a chance that Tennessee's path could be absolutely cleared to the playoff by 10:30 tomorrow night. What do you make of those two games?
So I'll get to those two games. Let me tell you, the only reason I'm nervous tomorrow about Tennessee is that I coach my daughter's basketball game at 2 p.m., and Tennessee kicks at 11 a.m. So my hope is they are 2+ scores ahead after the first drive of the third quarter. I think I'll have to leave after a drive or two of the third quarter, and I'll go dark on the game at that point. I'll turn it off. I'm sure you've done this before. I'll try not to see anything. I'll go back and fast forward through the last 2 quarters of the game. So I don't want to be stressed out about Tennessee possibly losing to Missouri the entire time I'm coaching my daughter's basketball team. A week ago, I had the same problem. Tennessee kicked at 2:30. I had a game at 5 to coach, but I left at halftime and I knew the outcome at 24-6. So I was not nervous about it. I knew Georgia was going to win that game. So that's the only reason I'm nervous, Jared. I want a comfortable margin by the time I leave the house. Now, we had this discussion today on Outkick 360 about if you're Tennessee or you're Michigan or Ohio State that's going to have one loss, what are you rooting for? What do you want to see happen the most? TCU lose to Texas or Oregon lose to Washington? My argument is you want TCU to lose because it eliminates an entire conference from the college football playoff. So I think that is the first and foremost what needs to happen for Tennessee in this situation.
Does Oregon losing not eliminate an entire conference?
It does not, because USC is sitting there with one loss. UCLA, I believe, is sitting there with one loss. Those teams are going to play each other. USC and UCLA will play each other. You're going to have a Pac-12 championship. So the quicker you get those teams to 2 losses, they're all eliminated. The biggest obstacle for Tennessee, if TCU loses, is a 1-loss Pac-12 champion. Everyone is talking about Oregon. I get it. They've been better than the other teams lately. But there's a guy named Caleb Williams playing quarterback for USC who's accounted for more touchdowns than anyone in America that no one's talking about right now, that's also sitting there with only 1 loss on the season. So it is a 1-loss Pac-12 champion that is going to be a big problem for Tennessee or someone else. Now, again, that's going with the idea that TCU will lose. We look at the Vegas rankings every year, not the college football ranking, not the AP poll. We look at Vegas, how they view teams and how they would fare on a neutral site. And they just go head-to-head right down the list. TCU is 15th in the country, even though they're 4th in the college football playoff ranking. That shows you Vegas does not value them. That also shows why most people believe they are going to lose a game at some point. I think it's going to be this Saturday.
I feel very confident TCU is going to lose a game. So we got this new thing called Caranon, which I only call it this because Caroline brought this conspiracy theory to my attention. Apparently ESPN's been talking about it a lot. And so then, I've bashed on it every day this week. Caroline's been doing the midday show the last 2 days. And today she went off about me calling it a conspiracy theory. This idea that LSU, if they win out, if LSU wins out, LSU is going to backdoor into the college football playoff, hop over Tennessee, who went to LSU and killed them by 1 million. And I think it's ridiculous. I think it is an ESPN manufactured discussion because Tennessee is the number 1 rated team in college football this year as far as TV ratings are concerned. Nobody cares about a discussion about TCU. You brought up how Caleb Williams has thrown all those touchdown passes. Nobody cares about that. Everybody wants to talk about Tennessee, and so the Tennessee-LSU, this is a big, argument or whatever. 1, I think it's ridiculous because LSU's not going to beat Georgia. 2, I think it's ridiculous because Tennessee killed LSU. 3, they've never put in a 2-loss team. And 4, even if LSU were to go all the way, we'd all sit there if we were in the committee room and say, okay, who's better, Tennessee or LSU? And we all ultimately would pick Tennessee. I think it's crazy. I think it's nuts. I think it's a conspiracy theory. What do you think of this discussion that LSU could backdoor their way and leapfrog Tennessee?
So what's happening week to week with the College Football Playoff Committee is similar to what happens with the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee year to year. And what I mean by that is this. Every year it feels like the thing they're looking at the most changes. Rick Barnes, after this past SEC tournament, even said if Texas A&M doesn't get in based on their wins in the tournament and then Tennessee's not moving up from 3 to 2, then what's the point of the teams that are already in the tournament playing in the conference tournament? We should really look long and hard at those teams stepping aside and allowing a play-in tournament for another SEC team to possibly get into postseason, which will help everything for the conference. Every year it changes. Conference tournament doesn't matter one year. Your regular season matters more. Your last 10 games matter some. Your first 10 games never matter. It's all different. Here's what the College Football Playoff Committee has done that's similar to that. A week ago, they had Alabama ahead of TCU. Undefeated TCU, 1-loss Alabama, the 1 loss to Tennessee. A week later, Tennessee loses at Georgia, 27-13. True road game. Georgia now the best team in the country. No one disputing that. But somehow TCU rises from 7th to 4th, ahead of 1-loss Tennessee. Keep in mind, behind 1-loss Bama, who lost to Tennessee the week before. They had to come from behind to beat Texas Tech at home.
Yeah, that jump doesn't add up.
When Boo Corrigan was asked about it, Jared, he said, well, first off, we value wins, and they won, and Tennessee didn't. And second, we're really impressed by the fact that they have 6 wins over teams with a winning record. The opponents for TCU, I think, are combined 41-40 on the season. Tennessee's opponents are like 50-31 combined. So what I'm saying is they change the language to fit whatever argument they want to make. So at season's end, would I be surprised if they came back and said, yes, we saw the game in early October, and Tennessee did win in blowout fashion at LSU, but we value conference champions. So we're going to put LSU in because they've got the win over Georgia that we saw last week, and now they're going to be in the playoff. Do I think it's going to happen, Jared? No. Do I believe that the committee can change their argument to fit whatever they want to do? Yes. So is it possible? Absolutely. It's possible they come back, even though Tennessee would have one less loss and a win on the road in a true road game in blowout fashion over the team that gets in over them. But the committee can just make up stuff like, oh, it's conference championships that matter way more than anything else, and not road wins or not what happened in the regular season. I think all those things could happen. But overall, I think Caroline's full of it because I don't think it will happen. But I could see an avenue where they try to make that work.
Do you think, because you have said for a couple of weeks that you do not think Tennessee will make the college football playoff, where we sit today, do you think, Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, that Tennessee will end up making the college football playoff?
I don't know that I've said I don't think they'll make the college football playoff. I didn't think they were going to go undefeated.
You did the week before the Kentucky game because you said that you didn't think they'd make the playoff, and Matt Jones said that he thought they would make the playoff, and I thought that was emotional hedging by both of you.
Maybe I did. I don't remember saying that, but sure. If you have me on tape saying that, then I'm sure I said it. Look, I think if Tennessee wins out, they're going to make the playoff. It's that simple.
Well, I mean, they're going to win out, right?
They've got to win these games.
They're going to beat Vanderbilt.
You know, the Titans, I thought were going to beat the Jets a year ago too, right? I mean, look, Tennessee is better than Missouri. Missouri's 2 SEC wins are, 17-14 over Vandy and then 23-10 at South Carolina. Now, you also look at it and say, well, they almost beat Georgia. That just handily beat Tennessee. Now, that was up in Missouri, but they've lost all their games by a combined 18 points. Tennessee's better, though. Tennessee put up 62 on them a year ago on the road. Tennessee should win this game, I think, by 3+ touchdowns. I think the line is right, and I think they should win by about that much, if not more. But crazy things have happened. Look, I remember 2016, Jared, coming off a bye. Tennessee went and played Jake Bentley, who looked like he was 12 for South Carolina at quarterback, and lost to Will Muschamp in South Carolina on the road in probably Josh Dobbs' worst game as a Tennessee Vol. And they lost their chance to play in Atlanta with that game. And then they later lost to Vanderbilt with a chance to go to the Sugar Bowl. Call it battered Vol syndrome, call it whatever you want. I believe they'll win the last 3 games. I think this team is different. I think they're made of something different. I think it's a special group. I don't think they're going to slip up. I do think they're going to win out. I think they're going to get the last playoff spot. All I'm saying is they have to go do it, right? They have to go win these games. They should. I'm not going to sit here and hedge and act like they shouldn't win them. They absolutely should win them. If they lose, it's their own fault in these games because they're better. They're way better than Missouri, South Carolina, and Vandy. But they got to go do it, and we've seen crazier things happen.
Last one for you, Chad Withrow. What do you make of C.J. Stroud being the Heisman favorite and Hendon Hooker falling off the map after Saturday's game?
Yeah, I mean, Saturday hurt Hendon Hooker. There's no doubt about it. I'm surprised that C.J. Stroud wasn't hurt more by his performance at Northwestern also. I know the weather was bad. Oh, by the way, the weather's supposed to be bad in Knoxville tomorrow too, with rain throughout the game. So I'm curious to see how that affects Hendon Hooker's performance through the
They'll
air.
still be able to throw the ball. They'll be able to score more than 21 points.
If they're able to throw the ball, then it's going to be really, really ugly for Missouri. They should be able to run the ball on them too, by the way. So, yeah, no, I think it hurt him. People are going to go back and, they're going to remember that. It's the most watched game of the season. More people watched that than the Alabama game. A lot of people saw it. He wasn't good. I think that was his worst performance as a Tennessee quarterback. I'm not going to say it knocked him out of the running to win it. I still think he's going to be in New York, but it hurt him. Here's the thing with Tennessee now. He needs to put up style points. They need to put up style points. They need to whip some of these teams down the stretch. Leave no doubt, because if you want to get in the playoff, you can't squeak by these teams late. I know, survive and advance and win, and that's what matters. I agree with some of that, but I don't know that that's good enough for Tennessee. They need to blow out at least 2 of these 3 opponents and make sure you're not in real danger late in these games. And to do that, Hendon Hooker's going to have some big statistical performances, and I think he's capable of it.
Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, presented by Two Rivers Ford. And again, Chad and Hutton will be on following the Titans game on the post-game show right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chad, great stuff. Enjoy coaching the basketball game, going dark for the Missouri game tomorrow as well.
It's the bane of my existence right now, Jared, are these Saturday college football youth basketball games. But, yes, come out and see us if you're going to the Titans game. We're going to be on Broadway at Landshark Bar and Grill above Margaritaville on Sunday after the game. It's going to be a good time. Jared, always a good time talking with you, man. Thank you.
So are you running man-to-man defense? Are you running a 2-3 zone? What are we doing here with the elementary school basketball?
This is 7- and 8-year-old ball. 6- and 7-year-old ball, first and second grade. So it is straight zone defense. I talked the head coach into going away from a 1-2-2 and going to more of a 2-3.
Why are you not the head coach?
I think that's going to help us. Because I don't want to commit to it. I'm the head coach of my daughter's softball team, and our head coach does a great job too. I offer to help him and sit on the bench and help with different things. But trust me, when you get involved in the group me's and the text and all of the administration stuff of the team, you don't want to be the head coach. The assistant coach is the spot to be in because you can just work with the girls and you can go and practice and you can sit on the bench during the games. But yet you don't have to do all the other stuff. It's the way to go.
Coach Chad Withrow. Chad, great stuff. Appreciate you, bud.
Just call me Coach from here on out, please, Jared, every time I join. Thank you.
Chad Withrow, as always, joining us in the program. When I used to work these camps during the summer when I was in college, and I was sitting there working Louisville's camps for different stuff, and there'd be like these high school coaches, and it'd be like, oh, okay, and it'd be like, I'm Coach Johnson. It's like a doctor. You went to school all those years to get your coaching degree. 615-737-1025. The big news of the day, and the Titans' injury problem might be an issue on Sunday. We'll get to that coming up here on the program, 615-737-1025. Football season is rocking and rolling, so now is the perfect time to download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, which is America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props and more. And you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started, and you will get paid your winnings quickly. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up with the promo code JGM for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code JGM, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Boucher. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Two icons, one night. Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks. Friday, May 19th, Nissan Stadium. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Together in Nashville for the first time ever. Don't miss Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, it's Chef Philip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try our new Nashville hot fish and chips. Beer battered black cod served over crispy fries or tots with Omni's own Nashville hot season blend. Served with chipotle slaw and malt vinegar tartar sauce.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
O'Reilly.
Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, and more. Right now, get up to a $20 gift card after a mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs. Plus, get double O Rewards points with your purchase. Prepare for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly.
Sports.
You can't get much for $5 these days. Unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 Biggie Bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT. Plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink. All for just $5. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're gonna feel when you get that Biggie Bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
How'd Tannehill's week go for you? What's it looking like?
Good. Yeah, he was limited today, and we'll see how it goes here the next couple of days.
You kind of pleased with the progress in general, I guess?
Oh, yeah, I think he's making progress and, feeling better.
You got out? Anybody out?
We got a puppet. Simmons, Hooker, Dupree, Cunningham, Thompson.
There you go. All those guys are out. Boy, sounds like a gym teacher right there. All right, let me check out my clipboard right here. Simmons, Dupree, Thompson, Hooker, Cunningham out on Sunday. Something like that. But there you go. So Vrabel not divulging any state secrets about what could be up with Ryan Tannehill and his ankle. Let me say this. I am very nervous about this Broncos game. I was not nervous about the Broncos game on Monday. I was not nervous about it on Tuesday. I was not nervous about it on Wednesday. I started to get a little nervous about it yesterday, and now I am nervous about the Broncos game. And it is not so much the injuries that is making me nervous, though it's certainly not helping. It's just, there's just something about the Titans that makes me nervous every time they take the field. Now, I really have no respect for this Denver team. Russell Wilson is a total mess at quarterback, and quite frankly, he really wasn't all that good last year in Seattle. I know he made the Pro Bowl, but he really wasn't all that good with the Seahawks. Then they had a really good running back early in the season because all their games were on prime time because Russell Wilson was the quarterback and they thought they'd be good. So they were on Monday night, or they played a Thursday night or Sunday night, or the London game. They had a running back by the name of Javonte Williams, who I had never heard of until I saw him on some top 10 list with Derrick Henry. And I would watch the Broncos play, and I'm like, this Javonte Williams is pretty good. He tore his ACL, so he's out for the year. They got Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, and Cortland Sutton traditionally is pretty good. Jerry Jeudy has never had a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. So the Broncos are not really all that good. They're second in the league in defense, but they traded their top pass rusher, Bradley Chubb, away to the Dolphins, so he's not there anymore. Plus, for the most part, the collection of quarterbacks that they've played so far this season are guys like Jimmy Garoppolo and Matt Ryan and Trevor Lawrence and, the bums. Now, they played Herbert okay, but the bums. And at the same time, their coach is a complete and total doofus. And yet, as we start to approach this Broncos game, all those guys are out. Tannehill in limbo, starting to get kind of nervous. Now, Jim Wyatt posted a video earlier today of Tannehill warming up. Those are the only things that the media is allowed to shoot, are the guys that are warming up, or just throwing a ball around or catching a ball, or you're never going to see like an 11-on-11 at practice on Twitter because they kicked the media out for the 11-on-11s for practice so that they can go over what they're going to try to do in the game. So all you ever see is guys warming up. Well, Jim Wyatt has a video out of Tannehill warming up, and he's out there moving his legs around. He's doing like the warm-up shuffle, and he looks fine on that right ankle. And they all count. They're going to win the division regardless of if they beat the Broncos or not, but they all count. And then I'm doubly nervous because I am going to the game next week at Lambeau Field against the Packers. I'm very excited about that on Thursday Night Football. But the Packers have lost a bunch of games in a row. They're horrendous. And I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to lose 12 straight games. So they play the they play the Cowboys on Sunday. And if they don't lose to the Cowboys, and they probably won't lose to the Cowboys, then they're probably going to beat the Titans on Thursday night. And the Titans got all these injuries for Thursday Night Football. So I'm nervous. Now, Ian, what did you make of Chad Withrow when you told me, and you won't tell me where you got this from, but that word on the street was that Tannehill, I kept saying Tannehill was medically cleared because in 6 possible practices from the ankle injury to the Chiefs game, Tannehill practiced in 3 of them, and he returned to the game against the Colts. And I said he was medically cleared. Vrabel said on Monday that it was his choice to hold Tannehill out. And then somebody told Ian, I don't know who, but somebody told Ian that Tannehill, what was it that you were told again?
Pretty much just like, why do you keep saying he was cleared to play when we don't know for sure if he was actually cleared to play?
So this was a message from you to get to me.
Correct.
Okay. Which has the hint there that we don't know that he was medically cleared to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chad said that he didn't think that Tannehill was medically cleared to play. So that throws another curveball in there.
Yeah, I do wonder the difference between medically cleared to practice, especially the way he was like virtually. He said they said he was limited, but he really wasn't doing anything, right? Especially last week.
I would assume he wasn't, but I don't know because they don't let people watch.
They don't let us watch. That's true. But, from what we could tell, he pretty much just went out there, did some stretching, and then went back inside. So, I don't know the difference between being cleared to do that versus being cleared to actually play in the game.
Jeff from Hendersonville says on the text line, phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Jeff says, you're going to criticize Jeff Simmons too because he's out with an ankle? He played! Like, Jeff Simmons is out because the Titans played him on the ankle 100 plays. How many plays did Simmons play on Sunday night? I have the info right.
I think it was around 80 or 90. I think they played around 90 total snaps, I want to say.
I got it right here. I got the playtime stuff all in my notes as to who played, playtime percentage, defense for the Titans. Simmons played 81 snaps.
That is a lot.
81 snaps on Sunday night.
And they were all a lot of pass rushing snaps, too, where it's just constantly going after the quarterback.
When you've got a quarterback who can't play in the NFL, which is what Malik Willis is right now, he's not ready to play in the NFL, your defense is going to be out there for 41 minutes, 100 snaps, 100 for Fulton, 100 for McCreary, 100 for Byard, and 100 for Long. Yes, Jeffrey Simmons on a bum ankle played 81 snaps. No, I'm not going to criticize Jeffrey Simmons.
Do you think do you think the Thursday night game, short turnaround, has anything to do with any of these guys missing?
This is an AFC game. I'd rather win the AFC game than the NFC game next week.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going to Green Bay and I want to go watch them win. But then again, I went to London and watched them lose. So, make of that what you will. But what I want, what they want are not always the same thing. 615-737-1025. We will pick this game and all the other big ones with six-pack picks. We'll do that coming up next. Hey, be sure to join us for the pregame show on Sunday starting at 9:30, live from Sunny's Patio Pub and Refuge located at 1322 6th Avenue North in Germantown. Let me say this. That spot is perfect for a Sunday. For a Sunday to watch football where they got Sunday ticket, they got the cabanas and everything. I mean, that place is awesome. So join us. Me, former Titans receivers Chris Sanders and Derek Mason from 9:30 to 11:30 prior to the Titans and the Broncos. The pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Superbook Sports, and Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Cold tonight with low temperatures only in the upper 30s. Tomorrow morning we'll likely see some rain showers, possibly even some sleet, but I think the road should still be too warm for that to cause any issues. Otherwise tomorrow cold with highs in the mid-40s. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
It's back. Family Leisure's Ultimate Game Room Sale is back.
Okay, so what's that mean?
That means huge discounts, up to 50% off on all kinds of game room furniture and accessories.
Like what?
Up to 50% off on slate pool tables from Brunswick and Legacy Billiards. Prices start as low as $14.99 installed, plus the matching bars and game tables. Even poker tables to complete our game room are on sale as well. The guaranteed largest selection and lowest prices in the Mid-South.
Wow, perfect for Christmas.
Family Leisure is also featuring huge savings on massage chairs and home theater seating. Full body massage chairs starting at only $9.99. And the top of the line 40 massage chair is more than half off at $29.99.
What about the theater seating?
Family Leisure guarantees to be half off anyone's home theater seating. 3-piece recliner sets start at only $9.99. Full power recline real leather seats are only $19.99.
That's great. And they have stand-up and desktop arcade games with over 600 games, shuffleboards, foosball, and air hockey tables.
It really is the Ultimate Game Room Sale.
The Ultimate Game Room Sale going on now at both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 18th, 19th, and 20th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collection all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is also included. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. Genesis Diamonds. November 18th through 20th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Wild weekend of college football in the NFL ahead of us. With that, we'll get to six-pack picks. I do want to take a second here to mention the fact that today on this Fireball Hot Take Friday is Veterans Day, and that I want to thank every single brave man and woman, past and present, who have served and continue to serve in our armed forces. What I always tell people, and I actually mean this from my heart, is that it's a great thing that you all sign up to do what you do, because the last thing that we want with the strongest military in the world is somebody like me fighting for us. And so we're so thankful for all that you do and all the people that have lost their lives defending this country. We think about you. And again, we are so thankful for your service and your dedication to our freedoms here at the United States. Okay, with that, it's time for six-pack picks. Ian, how did we do last week?
Okay, last week, solid, pretty average week. Jared, 2-3-1. We had a tie in there with Tampa Bay. Caroline, 3-2-1. Jared's season record is now 30-31-2. Caroline's season record is 33-28-2.
All right, I'm going to need to pick it up a little bit around here. Let's get right to it.
Okay, let's start with the 11 a.m. ESPN game here. LSU at Arkansas, over-under 61.5. LSU is -3.5.
Oh, I'm going to take LSU. I was thinking it was like -6 Arkansas has fallen apart. They got smoked by Liberty on homecoming. I mean, I root for Sam Pittman. I like the Hogs, but they got smoked by Liberty, and now they got LSU, the hottest team maybe in college football, coming in. I will take LSU. I thought it was going to be 6. You're telling me it's 3.5? Give me LSU.
Give me LSU minus 3.5. I feel like this is kind of disrespectful to LSU. LSU's coming off of a win over Alabama. Arkansas is coming off of a loss over Liberty. These teams are not in the same situation. I understand that this is going to be a test for Brian Kelly to see if he can get this team back up and motivated after a big win going into a team that's been struggling. But I think this LSU team is on a roll. This team is hot. Arkansas is cold. Give me the hot team. Give me LSU minus 3.5.
Well, I say it was a homer take, but then at the same time, I, criticized the number 2. So maybe I'm wrong, but she said it was disrespectful to LSU. Really. What's next?
Okay, heading over to the CBS 2:30 game. Alabama at Ole Miss. Over under 65, pretty high as we would expect in this one. Bama is minus 12.
12?
Yep, on the road.
Alabama stinks on the road. But then Saban's going to be up that rear end because they played so poorly. I think I've gotten every Alabama game wrong this year. I mean, I think the difference in six-pack picks right now is Alabama, the way that I picked them. My natural inclination is to take Ole Miss, so I'll take Alabama just because I've gotten everything wrong. I'm going to Sally rule it here, and I'm going to go, I will pick Alabama.
This one's tricky because there's 2 factors at play here. One, Alabama plays atrociously on the road. I mean, Alabama's racked up almost 450 yards of penalties in their 4 road games this season, but also there's that element there of Nick Saban after a loss is very, very intimidating. I'm going to take Alabama minus 12 for that reason. I think that Ole Miss is just a little bit overrated based off of their schedule so far. I think Alabama's going to be angry coming off this game after this loss after LSU, so I'm going to take Bama minus 12.
Well, now I want to change my opinion, but I guess I made it, so it is what it is.
All right, we're going to do 3 college games this week. Very good college slate, so we're going to do an extra. 6:30 ABC, big game for the Vols and playoff potential here. TCU at Texas. Over-under, also high 65, but Texas is minus 7.5.
7.5? I mean...
They're back, baby.
I'm going to take Texas, but that's just because of how little I think of TCU. I'll take Texas.
This one's also tough. Texas is going to be rowdy. It's a tough environment to play in. TCU is one of those teams that gets down early but just digs their way out of a hole. But I think I'm going to take TCU plus 7.5.
Good.
I think this game is going to be close. I think it could be the difference of a field goal. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Texas coming out of the end of this victorious, but I think TCU at least keeps it close. Give me TCU plus 7.5.
7.5. There should be a Vegas rule that if you are a 7.5 point dog, you are not allowed to be in the top 4 of the college football playoff unless you are playing one of the other 3 teams, because then you don't belong. Even if it's a road game, you don't belong.
I believe this is our first NFL Network music of the season.
Oh, London game.
Yes.
No, it's Germany.
Germany, that is correct.
Munich.
8:30 a.m. NFL Network in Germany. Seattle. Technically, I guess Tampa Bay is the home team in this game. Over under 44.5, and Tampa Bay is favored minus 2.5.
I will take Seattle. I think Tampa Bay's defense is cheeks.
Give me Seattle plus 2.5. This team has been the biggest surprise of the year, in my opinion, at least in a positive way. I'll take Seattle to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs this weekend.
Okay, moving on to Fox, noon. I don't know, this game could be tricky. Is Josh Allen probably not going to play, but these 2 teams do have good records. Vikings at the Bills, over under 43.5, and Buffalo is still minus 3.5.
I will take Buffalo. Case Keenum in there. Give me the Bills. I just think they have a more complete team than the Vikings. The Vikings statistics, like their point differential and stuff, is not very good, but they are 7-1, so you have to give them credit. But I will take Buffalo even if Case Keenum quarterbacks the Bills.
Josh Allen is questionable, I believe, for this weekend. And if he does play, I don't think he's going to be 100%.
He's not.
Vikings are rolling. Give me the Vikings plus 3.5.
No love for Case Keenum. Boy, I'd kill for Case Keenum on the Titans as the backup.
All right, that brings us to our final game. Denver coming to town. Broncos coming to take on the Titans. This is noon, CBS. I mean, this is a low over-under, one of the lowest of the season, 39.
They must think Malik's going to play.
Yeah.
It's not like the offense is doing anything with Tannehill either. So.
And the Titans are still -3.
Give me Caroline's pick.
No Bud Dupree, no Jeffrey Simmons, no Amani Hooker, a questionable Tannehill. I mean, even for Mike Vrabel and even for Derrick Henry, that's a lot to overcome for this team. I'm taking the Broncos +3.
I am taking the Titans -3, and I am taking, this is going to push if my prediction is right. I am going to take the Titans. I think the Titans are going to win 19-13. I just don't think they're going to lose to the Broncos. I know they have all their injuries, but the Broncos do not move the ball well. Russell Wilson is in trouble. I think Vrabel will have a great scheme for them. I think that Nathaniel Hackett is a doofus. I think Derrick Henry will get enough done at home. Give me the Titans 19. Did I say 19-13? If I said 19. Okay, so then, yeah, I'm taking the Titans -3. That's not a push. 19-13 for the Titans. That's it. We're out of here. The Game Blitz. Big Joe Dubin, Elijah Campbell, high school football. It's the playoffs. That's next. We'll see you